It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games. Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Wow, weekend of sports there. How about that? There was a lot going on there. For those of you following the hockey playoffs, how about Buffalo? Fighting back, winning Game 6. We got a Game 7 tonight. The Sabres have forced 7 with Montreal. Impressive. Buffalo's been down forever. I don't know how you can't root for Buffalo. On the other hand, Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup in forever, so how can you root against Montreal, right? One dream must die tonight. A dream died in Detroit last night. Game 7 goes to Cleveland. They beat Detroit in a blowout. Just absolutely annihilated Detroit. Donovan Mitchell, a strong game. We'll get into that coming up. Does this prove he can do it? Define it. NBA title? Get into the NBA Finals? No. But he is getting to a conference final. I do think that's a big step forward. I think that is a big step for him to take on his career. And there's more to take, obviously, but that was a big one right there. We'll get to that coming up. Real Salt Lake wins, Utah Royals win, and Aaron Wright wins. Wow. Man, we could have drafted Bob Casper and PK and I do this draft. We could have gone many, many rounds before we'd have picked Aaron, but that dude, man, that was a heck of a final round. He pulls away and wins by 3 shots. Gets the major championship, and it's odd, but it often happens at the PGA. Guys break through there. It's crazy, and he breaks through in a big way. That final round was awesome. He was spectacular. He's 65. Really just a spectacular closing round by him. All right, so a lot going on this weekend. We're going to get to it all this morning. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will talk soccer as the Miller Group has turned both the Utah Royals and RSL, just turned them loose. They are flying, climbing the standings. It's very impressive and, dare I say, a little unexpected. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Coming up later this morning, Steve Cleveland will join us at 8 o'clock, talk NBA basketball. And Chris Hill will be in studio. He's got a book coming out on the University of Utah, his Utes. And he's got some stories, some memories, some recollections. I think you fans will enjoy that. But I bet there's some nuggets in there for Cougar fans as well. Just conference realignment and all that. Just crazy times. We've had so much of it now. It's hard to believe what a shock it was when the WAC went to 16 teams. And then when the Mountain West broke away. And then obviously Pac-12 and Big 12. And so we've had several rounds of it, haven't we? Realignment, it's such a rare thing. No, it really isn't. There have been 4 in 30 years. There's plenty of realignment. We'll talk with Chris Hill coming up. Let's focus on the soccer right now. The Miller Group bought the Utah Royals and Real Salt Lake, and they've got them both rolling. They don't know much about soccer. Well, they seem to be figuring it out. The Royals are now unbeaten in their last 8. They pick up another win. They've climbed into second place now in the NWSL. It has been a stunning turnaround for a team that has never played a playoff game. They have been horrific. Not only are they bad, but they just keep getting worse. But the pivot, it's finally working. Everything's going. Everything's aligned here. They're just flying. And RSL's doing the same thing. While the Royals have climbed to second place, RSL's climbed to third in the Western Conference and 5th overall in the 30-team Major League Soccer. Heck of a turnaround for them. Gozo scores. Sergey Salon gets an assist and a goal for a draft pick out of Oregon State and UCLA to just step into the lineup as a rookie. It's supposed to be too big a jump now in Major League Soccer to go from college to the pros, but he seems to be handling it well. He's got 6 goals and 3 assists, and Gozo's got 6 goals and 4 assists, and I mean, they're well scouted now. There's plenty of video in there. They're still making it happen here. So how did they do it? What did Pablo Mastroeni think? Well, the RSL head coach meeting with the media after RSL picks up yet another victory. 2-1 over Colorado. Here's Pablo Mastroeni.
I think it's obviously huge for him as an individual. I think he does a lot of wonderful things between the boxes, but I think every striker has this yearning to see the ball hit the back of the net. And I think especially as a younger striker, you're going to go through dips, and so to be able to now go a few games without hitting the back of the net, but now continue to put your head down and graft and grind and reap those rewards, I think is really important for him now moving forward, where you don't have to be tense when things aren't going your way. It's the most difficult position to play. There's going to be streaks, but to stay grounded and know that you keep doing the little things right, and things will bounce in your favor. So I think it's a big learning moment for him, but obviously a huge moment for our group.
And then just big picture wise, because this is the last home game before the World Cup break, 7-1 at home at the break. What's different about this club where it seems like these guys are really trying to optimize? I don't know if that's quite the right word, but kind of optimize the home crowd and home points and just sort of the importance of all that.
It's funny because after wins, the guys talk, right? It's their stage. Their performance tonight was fantastic to really end a 3-game week, and it's just so humbling and almost cathartic from a coaching perspective when I want them to speak about the game in the moment, and they said, we have to be a better road team. This is what they talk about after just winning this game. And so for me, it's again, it just trickles down from the top, the kind of club we want to be, the mindset that we need every day to be the best version of ourselves. We haven't been great away from home, and so the focus today in the locker room was we've got to find a way to now play the same brand of football that we do at home. And obviously the 12th man, our fans have been front and center in the confidence that the guys have to play that way. But I think the onus is on us to take our, even if it's imaginary, take that 12th man with us and start the games with the right type of mentality to create the same type of feeling that the guys have when we go on the road.
Hey, Pablo, congrats on the win.
Thanks.
So you go down early, but come from behind to get the win for only the third time in the last 2 years, not since July. What did you like most about the response from the younger squad you put out there?
Yeah, I think it was always going to be interesting to see how the young guys up front were going to be able to handle those kind of moments where you're behind it. But what I saw was a group that was really calm emotionally. It wasn't erratic. We stayed the course. We knew that we were going to get our opportunities. We had quite a few in the first half. Guys making plays, Sergi to goes, and then obviously Juanma to Serge. I think those are just it's again a big learning moment for our group where even when things are down, we stay the course. And I think that's a really proud moment for me. Just watching our team continue to grow from a game management perspective. We have a lot of time left. We got to keep doing the same things to kind of break them down, and we'll reap the rewards. So a real testament to the growth of the group in this early part of the season to manage games and manage emotions the right way.
You've been involved in this rivalry so heavily in all these different positions, right? What did it mean for you to see, especially the Utah-based players, like on the first goal where Booth forces the error and then Gozo gets the finish? What does it mean to see them picking up the mantle of this rivalry and really driving it?
Yeah, before the game, our Nick, who's in charge of our video, put together a fantastic montage of what this rivalry has meant over the years, right? And so for a lot of these guys, this is their first foray into the Rocky Mountain Cup. And again, I think they handled themselves with such class and professionalism. And to see, again, Zach close the player down and take away the angles. And then the transition moment, something that we've stressed so hard this year. And just watching that play being executed at a really high level and doing it with younger players that may not have the experience, I think it really speaks volumes. So, for me, this is obviously a big game given my history, but tonight belongs to the players and their performance. And I think we got one game better from last game.
And then just one last one for me, and I know you don't like the single players out after a game, but Juanma's assist on that last one almost felt like a reward for what he was doing all night long. What does he bring to the team when he's got the kind of rhythm that you saw from him tonight all over the field?
Yeah, no, I think, Juanma is a player that, 9 out of 10 makes the best decision the game offers him. And in that one decision, he's trying to do things that a lot of players maybe haven't seen, or he's 2 steps ahead. He's playing at the international level right now. He's obviously in contention for the World Cup with Uruguay, and I think he along with all the guys, they're playing for something greater than themselves. And I saw that tonight with the majority of the guys on the field. They just gave everything for the group. They gave everything for the cause. And that was another thing that we talked about, that, if we can play like this, we can write our own script, and so that's really the call to arms after the game today. But I think Juanma's been a real special player for us, defensively making great decisions, but also in that final third and picking players out. And that seems like a similar goal that we scored, a couple weeks back or a month back, where it was Juanma to surge, and that was a fantastic finish in that pocket. So just really proud of everyone, man. But Juanma's been, a top player for us.
Pablo, could you just talk a little more about Booth? Because he started the first 2 games, but he has played very sparingly. You sent him to the Monarchs for a couple games, but he's played so little. What did you think of his entire performance?
I thought it was really, really good. I think sometimes, he found out he was going to play yesterday, right? And I don't think there's a lot of time to really think and get emotional about the game and overthink things. He played the game to a really high level, and it's a new position for him, right? And so against a really dynamic team, there's always going to be questions as to whether he was going to be able to anticipate the next play from that position, because it's fairly new. But he checked all the boxes. Defensively, he was strong. Offensively, he played what he saw. The first goal where he closed down and we won the ball and played forward. So he was fantastic tonight, and I think that's again where, if you would have asked Zach at the beginning of the year what his preferred position is, he wouldn't have said wing back, but again, he's willing to do whatever it takes for the group. And so I think it was a fantastic performance for him. And then Dom came in and did a great job. And so it's just, when things are, falling into place, guys are willing to do things that they never thought they were capable of. And Zach did that tonight in spades.
It's never a perfect performance, and it did look like there were points in the game where you really wanted them to hit some big switches. Colorado seemed to be moving as a group to one sideline or the other. Were there some issues there going on, or just guys get caught up sometimes?
Yeah. I think too, there's also the nerves of the game, right? I think there's that emotional component, and that's where whiteboards fly out the window, because the space that you see on a whiteboard or an overhead camera, those are what coaches see, but coaches aren't emotional because they're not running their tails off and defending against a team that's really dynamic with their movements. And the way they press, when they press as a group, it's hard to find the best option at times. So I think it was a combination of all those things. But so again, teams, and that's the other part, is like we can want to play a certain way every game. Teams are obviously trying to thwart what we're trying to do. So, but I think overall the guys really executed at a really high level.
They run some unusual set pieces, and I'm wondering how prepared they were for them. They saw them over and over. Can you talk a little bit about the preparation and then the level of execution you thought you saw there? Yeah,
so again, I think from the goal that we conceded, they had a corner kick prior to, and I think Lucas did a really good job of dealing with that back post. On the second one, we were still in fine position after the initial play. We just kind of fell asleep in the middle of goal, right? So it takes a touch out wide and then leathers it across. And so it wasn't so much that our setup was poor, because you're always going to have balls that you can't anticipate where they're going to go. You still have to do your job throughout the whole exercise, right? So then after that, we brought Zach back and we made the adjustment and having him deal with their back post that they were trying to exploit. Yep.
Congrats on the win. We have Justin and Lucas that came back from injury. We've missing 2 games. What did you think of their overall performance tonight?
Yeah, I think they were real solid. Jay Glad has been dealing with a hip injury that hasn't allowed him to kind of reach full speed, but tonight it was tested over and over again, and really handled Navarro, who's a fantastic player, and did a great job. And Lucas, again, not having played in quite some time, I thought stepped in and did a remarkable job. not getting reps and still coming out and playing really well on both sides of the ball against a really dynamic team is probably one of the harder teams to kind of put both of those guys into. So just them negating a lot of really clear opportunities and defending the depth real well is a testament to their performance.
And then what area of the game do you feel most confident about heading into this break? And then where do you still need to see the most growth for you guys?
No, I think it's in every phase of the game. There's room for improvement. There's no, we're good here, because again, different opponents, what ends up happening is whatever you're doing really, really well, your opponent is preparing for that the next weekend. And so you have to do it even better. So defending the box, we have to do well. Set pieces, we have to do well. Our transition game has to be better, both offensively and defensively. So we look at it more from a bird's eye perspective and celebrating the little wins, but knowing that we have a lot of work to do to be a top team in this league.
Hey, Coach. Especially with the compression y'all have had with the schedule, I wanted to ask you both, as kind of a coach and a player, how hard it is for them to stay locked in and fight that mental fatigue late in the game, because they were still rotating, covering for each other, not having those breakdowns. Yeah,
that's a great question, and I think a lot of it has to be, from a physical perspective, the guys were running, they were redlining at the end of the first half, given how much work they were doing. So I think what allows them to continue to, provide the type of physical output that is needed in a game like this is really the emotion and the fear of letting your teammate down. Like I've said earlier, there's something about this group that is really unique that you can't coach, that you provide an environment for these guys to flourish in. And because they're such great human beings and fantastic players, it's that peer-to-peer accountability that really drives the last 20 minutes of a game like this. It's not, because if you look at the data, you'll say, like, these guys shouldn't have been able to do what they did. But the fact that they're still covering for each other and making hard runs back, Gozo's another example. He's had, 3 games where he's been running in the red. How does a young man like that? And it's because he doesn't want to let his teammates down. And in doing so, when you give to the team, it's amazing how the soccer gods will really celebrate you as an individual. And he's had a fantastic week.
And then I ask you about DeAndre, last few games, just playing out of his mind, both offensively and defensively, forcing conflict when he gets forward, and then just cleaning things up.
Yeah, no, Dre's these last couple games have been fantastic. He's utilized his experience the right way, and oftentimes a player of his age you wouldn't think could give the physical output, but he just never stops running. His sprint distances, his covering positions, his decisions in the attack to run the half space. He's just always feeling the right moment. These 2 games have been really, really top. And I think today he showed his class as to why he's been in a couple World Cups and why he's played abroad. And just that type of experience for our group, being a younger group. And, he had Zach in front of him in the first half, and then he had Dom come in. And these are 2 younger guys that are still cutting their teeth and getting to understand the game. So he even did a lot of leadership, of communication with guys in front of him. So it was a really complete performance from Dre tonight.
Coach, congrats on the win. I want to talk a little bit about Sergi. You have this guy who came from basically college, is tearing it up right now, if we can talk like that. And it seems like he's a striker that you probably wanted to have for a while. He scores from his left, assists, and now with headers. It's been a while since a player have a header. Have you talked to him in that aspect of his game to keep improving on that, or is there anything else that he can continue to do?
No, I think Sergi's a fantastic, student of the game, where he's always asking really good questions. He watches, obviously, a lot of football. He's got a great pedigree growing up in Spain and being a part of, a big club before coming to college. So I think the thing with Serge is he's always trying to improve on all sides of the ball. And the biggest phase I think that he's improved on is his defending, taking angles, starting the press. That's been 1,000% growth from when he first got here. The other stuff, the finishing stuff, we worked on the week before the 3-game week and how he can take his chances better. But that's an area that I think every striker has to continue to keep. You got to keep your knife sharp. Whether it's balls in the air, whether it's how you receive the ball first touch to set you up for the second touch. These are things that the best strikers in the world do. And Serge knows that he's got a lot of potential, and the only way to get to where he wants to go is to continue to work on his craft.
Going along with that, you have quite a few players assisting, quite a few players scoring, and overall it seems like off the bench there are players that come in and make a difference as well. Mm-hmm. How much fun are you having with this team right now, and how proud are you of them?
Yeah, no, it's and it's a credit to the coaching staff as well. The amount of energy and work that they sit down with players, all the guys, whether you're starting or you're not getting a lot of minutes. And I think that when you understand, and I've said this before, is when you understand how we want to defend from every position, then you can start to have rotations, right? Because then there's not oh man, we're this guy's on the wrong side. And sometimes you see Goes on the right, sometimes you see Serge on the left, sometimes you see Morgan, Diego, all these guys are. But the most important thing is that our structure will not be compromised because of the understanding. And so we harp a lot on our defending. Our coaches do a great job of working with the young guys in particular. I thought Aiden had a really good game tonight. I think he showed one game better from the game that maybe in the last couple games. And just his between the boxes, understanding defensively, understanding where to get the space to turn and start attacks. And so it's a testament to everyone in that locker room and the coaches. Again, it's a joy to work with everyone because everyone knows that we're a good team, but we want to be great. And the only way to get there is to work your tail off. Yep.
Congrats on the win, Coach.
Thanks.
Tonight we saw a little bit of, you could say, passion, maybe some frustration, some anger at points on the field. As the coach, how do you take that and channel it and turn it into a result like this?
Well, again, I think there's always, and especially in rivalry games and derby matches, I think there's always going to be a certain, there's going to be a higher threshold for emotion just because of the significance of the game, right? And I think there's that emotion is really beneficial to a certain point, but beyond that, you start to lose your head. And then when you lose your head, then you run out of position and you do these things. And I just felt like we were riding that fine line for the whole game. I think and all the players on the field, whether you're in the back line, midfield, and up front, I felt like we had a really good, there's a right amount of tension in the game. And that's why I went to the last bit, because I think we managed this game really well. In the second half there's times we played out, there's times we played long, but we never had two or three guys walking back when the play broke down. We had everyone sprinting back to get in. It just meant something, and I think games like this bring the best out of guys. And so moving forward, I think again, like what the guy said today, is like this is a standard whether we're at home or we're away, and this is something that we got to channel and hold ourselves to.
With this being the last home match before the World Cup break, how important is that to make a stamp on your home form before going into the break?
Yeah, I think it's huge, Oz. I think it's critical for everyone, right? I think, like I said, it's not just the vibes in the locker room, but it's the vibes in the stadium, and I think fans, they know when they come out to our games, it's going to be an exciting match. Guys are going to work hard for them, but there's nothing more important for everyone that comes to these games than the 3 points, right? And I think so. Having that long break, we're leaving home with a good taste in our mouths, and really the responsibility and the accountability to make sure that when we resume after the break, that we hold ourselves to the same standard.
All right, there's Pablo Mastroeni after the 2-1 win. That's the last home game before the World Cup break. They've got one more game on the road in Minnesota coming up this weekend, and then they basically are off for 2 months. It's the longest break. But with the World Cup here in the United States, they want to go head-to-head with that, so they're going to shut everything down. And then coming out of the World Cup, we'll hit the summer transfer window, and pretty quick we'll see if guys are going to move. Is Gozo going to go or not? I mean, there's a lot of posing going on right now. He can say he wants to go, and the agent can squawk, they're holding my guy hostage. But until you get the transfer window and you see what the offers really are, which clubs, how much money, and that is when the rubber will meet the road, and I assume a decision will get made pretty quickly. It suddenly feels much more like he's going. For a while I thought, well, he could go, but man, he just keeps racking up the stats. It's going to drive up the price, and you'd like for the whole market to be more subtle than that, but it just doesn't seem to be. Andres Gomez went over a couple of years ago. He had 13 goals, 9 assists midseason. He went over there. They decided they want him, and then pretty soon they didn't want him, and he lands in Europe, and boom, he's out of Europe, and he's off to Brazil. So we'll see how this plays out, see what Gozo does. But for right now, he is putting on a show. All right, let's switch gears and get to the NBA playoffs. Donovan Mitchell, the former Jazz man, wins a Game 7 on the road. He and the Cleveland Cavaliers go into Detroit and win. We will get to that next. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Eastern Conference Finals are set. It's going to be Cleveland and New York. Now, arguably, these are two of the Final Four teams in the playoffs, and maybe they're two of the four best teams. Although if you look at Minnesota or you look at Denver or the Lakers, there might be an argument that the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams are in the West. Obviously, Oklahoma City and San Antonio, everybody's looking forward to that series. We've got game 1 of that coming up tonight. And NBC's got to be thrilled they've got that. They got to be thrilled. The Eastern Finals on ESPN, and then the weekend games will be on ABC. This ought to be massive ratings for this Western Conference final that's masquerading as an NBA final. But nonetheless, for Donovan Mitchell, I think getting to the conference final is a big deal. I think that getting to the playoffs, winning a series, getting your first conference final, getting your first NBA final, and winning your first title, those are all steps along the way, and every one of those things means something. When the Jazz win their first playoff series with this group, as I expect they will, I don't know if it'll be this year, but when it happens, it'll be a big deal. Just as it was last time when they beat the Clippers in 7, that was a big deal. And to get to a conference final when Stockton alone did it in 92, and it had been so hard for them, and they struggled. They had that series with the Clippers and the riots and postponement, and that was kind of chaotic, and it ended up going 5 when it was up. They're up 2-0 and looked like they're going to sweep, and then there's a long break and all that. But, man, they rallied themselves, and can they go for the first time to a conference final? And I honestly think if they hadn't, there are all kinds of stories about the Jazz would have moved on from one or both of those guys. But instead, they dominated Seattle in 5 games and then gave Portland a great series in the Western Final, 2-2 overtime in Game 5. It was awesome. And, of course, we know what happened there. So I think it's a big deal for Mitchell to do this. Does this mean he's arrived? No. It means you make the next step, and now they expect the next thing, which is get to a conference final. And I think they're the underdogs in this series, but I don't think they're crazy underdogs. It's certainly doable. I think New York's the favorite. A little more playoff experience, a little better finish in the standings, a little more time on the big stage. But for Cleveland, it's totally doable. So, all right, for more hoops, David Locke joined us on Friday. Listen in. Here's our conversation with David Locke. David, good morning.
In the deserts of Arizona, they're laden with the saguaro cactus that lasts for 150 to 200 years. They don't grow arms until they're perfectly strong enough to be able to do so. They can hold 300 gallons of water at one time on a storm. They grow a little bit similar to the level of DJ and PK. DJ and PK started as small little hidden under trees for protectiveness and then grew into themselves into staples that may last 150 to 200 years on the airwaves of Salt Lake City. And from the looks of them, they can hold 300 gallons of water at a time. Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
I love Cactus, man. That's my homeland right there. There's only one place in the U.S. where you can get those saguaros, and that is from Phoenix South. No other place in the country.
Well, that might be exactly where I'm sitting while I talk to you.
I remember a little kid, family vacation. We drove from San Diego to Arizona. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Sedona. And driving, I can still remember being on the road and looking at it, I'm like, whoa, what is that? And then the parents explaining pretty much everything David did, but not quite the way David did. I don't remember the 300 pounds of water. But it was an easy topic of conversation for 30 or 40 miles to kill some time with little kids. We were all, oh, that is so weird. It was great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Especially with, you can't go and take them out of the desert. You have to have a sticker on the bottom and you can receive a fine. It is against the law. They are protected that much.
Yes. Aware of these items, not with no problem to it, but am aware of such rules.
David, you've had a week.
The amount of rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, and moths, and everything else that comes in this desert also seems to be a little excessive. But,
yeah, pronounce Gila, not Gila, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry. I saw my first Gila monster ever yesterday. These are the things you really wanted to know.
No, we really wanted to know. Now that you've had a week to absorb the draft, have you finally just like, wow, it happened. All right.
Who's going to be the Jazz Gila monster?
Yeah, right. I actually did, David. I did exactly that. Like, freaked out on Sunday. Kind of still freaked out on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, like, went into pure analysis mode. Like, let me watch all of them. And then, like, yesterday woke up and was like, holy crap. We get to choose. Like, we get one of these guys.
Yep.
Like, they're not perfect. I feel like they were portrayed to be perfect all season long. I think they're really, really good. This draft's going to be good. I don't actually, not entirely sure it's not just going to be like every other draft that's ever existed, right? There's going to be, of the top 10, there's going to be a bust, and there's going to be 7 really good players, and there's going to be 3 all-stars and 1 superstar. Like, I'm not as convinced as everyone else that this is like the 1980, like they opened the lottery with like, it's going to be like the 1986 draft. I was like, okay, let's. I feel like we're hyping it a little bit. I actually think last year, I mean, I'm not sure. I will say this. I'm not sure we've ever had a combination of 2 years back to back where this much talent's going to be infused in the league and this much high level talent. Because I actually think last year's draft is going to turn out to be, now that we have a year of data, be the one that really these guys were incredible. And even like just, seeing Carter Bryant play for the Spurs in the playoffs, like that's pretty unusual. The 13th, 14th pick is playing in playoff basketball right now. So I think, it's incredible, absolutely incredible that we get to add this talent. And really, if you just get to kind of DJ's or PK's point, which is, the cynicism of like, hey, we had these 2 guys and we've moved from it. The rebuild felt like it was just on perpetual, like, treadmill, right? Like you were just going forever. You saw no end in sight. And now you take from the Keontae George emergence to the Jaren Jackson trade to the lottery success, and all of a sudden the rebuild looks like it was like done perfectly. Like it's an incredible 9 months for Jazz basketball, because I'm like, I was sitting there like everybody else going like, when does this end? And how do we ever get enough players? And oh my gosh, are we about to be bad for 20 years? And then if you had been and lottery reform, this could have been really ugly. And instead, the last 9 months with, Keontae, if you redraft that draft with Keontae, I think he's 3rd or 4th in that draft now, right? He's probably ahead of the Thompson twins. And so you suddenly have that. You have the emergence of the brilliant trade for Jaren Jackson and the lottery luck. And this thing lined up. All of a sudden, it's like, let's go. And frankly, the Lowry and Jarrett are overpaid a tiny bit, but the salaries line up pretty darn well too for this thing to go for a long time. So it's pretty incredible where we sit right now.
For discussion's sake, I'm not saying the Jazz want to or will do, but just follow me and just say they will. Yeah. What is the point? Why would they trade up to get AJ?
Because you think he's going to be one of the top 8 players in the NBA. It's really simple. It has absolutely nothing to do with whether he wants to stay in Utah or whether he wants to go to BYU. If those are the reasons we're doing it, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Because if we can't run this franchise with Ryan Smith at the helm and everything we're trying to do, Ryan and Ashley Smith at the helm, and believe in ourselves enough that we can build a place the players want to stay, and we can only find this one unicorn that might want to stay. And I'm not sure I even buy that story. If we can't run a franchise not in fear, we might as well. You can't run a business in fear. You can't run a franchise in fear. So if that's really what we're doing, then forget about it. The reason you trade up for AJ DeBonsa, or the reason you trade up for Darren Peterson, by the way, I've watched Darren Peterson. I might trade up for Darren Peterson. Very quietly, could you imagine that? We trade up for one and go take Darren Peterson? I don't think that's crazy either. If you know he's all right with everything else, 6'6" guard who can score like that and move like that, and if you think his shot's okay, he's got a little twist to it, and you think you can fix that, oh God, that's real. So you trade for either of these two players if you believe they're a top 8 or 10 player in the NBA in 3 or 4 years. If you believe they're Cade Cunningham, if you believe they're Luka Doncic, if you believe they're, Giannis and on time for flights, if you believe they're, you guys, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if you believe if it's one of those players who's going to be in the MVP conversation for 5 to 10 years, you trade everything for them. Right? Let's go back to the show we did together where you said, what would you trade for Luka? And I was like, every single thing on our entire roster and every draft pick. And if you can get one of those players, it's not like a linear scale, by the way, of pretty good to really good to great to superstar. It's like a hockey stick of value. And so if you believe that any of the kids in this draft are that much different than the rest and going to be a top 10 player, 8 player in the NBA, you should trade the world for them.
I love the hockey stick analogy because good to very good to great, while true, doesn't completely capture the value of going from good to great, right? There are some really good number one. Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham are really good players. Now, they may both go out of the playoffs this weekend, so there's that. Victor Wembanyama, holy cow. It's not if he's going to win a championship, it's when, isn't it?
Oh, or if he's going to win 10.
Yes, right. And as soon as he gets the one, then what's the final number going to be? Because it's going to be multiple, right?
When San Antonio loses to Oklahoma City in the playoffs this year, if they do, the next question that should be asked is, when is the next playoff series Victor Wembanyama loses?
Yeah.
Because it might be 4 years. So I think even in the hockey stick analogy, we actually have Victor Wembanyama might just be something different than the rest of the hockey stick. But I think Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham are on that hockey stick part of it. If you can get Anthony Edwards or Cade Cunningham in this draft,
you better.
And you go. I don't care what you give up. If we give up all 5 of our next future draft picks, that's when it's worth it. But you got to know, that's the reason you would trade for AJ DeBonsa. But I got to be honest. And now it's really hard. These scouts are really good because actually, if you watch Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, it was you saw this incredible running back inside of a basketball body, and you were wondering, and his skills have really accelerated. So it's not all, and you watch Cade Cunningham, and you were super worried about whether he was actually athletic enough around the rim. He wasn't particularly athletic at Oklahoma State around the rim, and he actually wasn't in the NBA for his first few years. So there's really an incredible growth progression that takes place amongst these players while they're in the NBA. And so I watch AJ DeBonsa and I watch Darren Peterson and I watch Cameron Boozer right now, and I see these things and I'm like, gosh, but obviously they're going to evolve and get way better when they're actually allowed to play basketball every minute of every day and have daily scouting and daily coaching and daily everything else. So it's hard to figure out whether or not the players I'm watching right now are not Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards, but that's not who they're going to be in 3 to 4 years.
I will tell you when Wembanyama loses his next series, and that'll be in 2 years, and it'll be against the wonderful backcourt. It's a Wonderful Life of George Bailey and the greatest front line since Bird, McHale, Parrish, and Walton being Kessler, Jaren Jackson, Larry Markin, and A.J. DeBonsa, 27-28 in the spring of 28. That's when it will happen. Mark my words.
Well, it's enough size to maybe do it. Might need somebody on that roster to be a defensive first player, but I'm with you. Like, let's go for it. Like, it's enough size to do it. You guys watch AJ much more than me. And I'm watching him now for the first time. So I had 3 takeaways, and I want your guys' thoughts. So obviously the body and the fluidity is incredible. The handle for his size is awesome. There is 0 space on the floor for him to ever go anywhere. So it's hard for me to evaluate.
And yet he did it anyway. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then the off the bounce 3 and the catch and shoot 3 really look poor.
And there it is.
And he knows it.
And
yeah, he's got to improve the 3-point shooting. You're right. He's got to.
You really can't be without that shot. You're Paulo Banchero, and Paulo Banchero can score a lot of points and do a lot of stuff, but it's not working in Orlando.
It won't work when you get to the playoffs. In the playoffs,
it won't work in the regular season either. Actually,
I guess we can debate that. But since you want it to work in the playoffs and you're drafting for the playoffs, that's the whole point right now. Anyway, I think there might be ways to finesse it in the regular season a little bit. But to your point, yeah, you want to spread the floor and create the lanes for you and all your teammates to drive. You want to have that quote-unquote gravity, and he's not good enough right now. But if he did have that, then he'd be talked about as a slam dunk number 1, and there'd be absolutely no chance that, A, you could trade for him, or B, he would fall to number 2.
Yep.
If he had that, he's number 1, they're taking him, and don't call me, I'll call you as far as the trade proposals.
Yeah, I mean, let me just say why I say it will. Why it doesn't work in the regular season also. If you're a non-shooter in that manner, you have to have the ball in your hands all the time. And that's what happens to Orlando, is that Banchero is really, really good, but if they give the ball to Franz Wagner or they give the ball to Desmond Bane or they give the ball to Jalen Suggs, all good players, and Banchero's on the floor, no one's guarding Banchero. Because they don't care if he kicks, catch, and shoot 3. And they know they have enough time to get back to him. And so it clogs up the entire rest of the offense. And that's why Orlando's 22nd in the league offensively every year. So that's why I make that comment, that it's a big deal. By the way, I think both these kids are obviously there's Darren Peterson off-court issues with what's going on with his body or whether it was physical or not. Yeah. Issues that are real, figured out. But I got to say, some of his fluidity and movement and things like that. And then I'm looking at the NBA right now, and Jalen Brunson's dominating a series, and Donovan's dominating a series some of the time, and Cade Cunningham's dominating a series some of the time, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's dominating a series. And I actually begin to wonder whether, for the first time ever, I'm looking at 6'9" versus 6'6", and I'm like, well, maybe I want 6'6".
Well,
maybe I want the pure handle guard more than I want the 6'9" big wing. If you even go back to last year when I watched Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, my very first reaction was I thought Bailey was 6'10" at the time. But I was like, wait, why would I possibly take 6'3" instead of 6'10"? And watching the NBA right now, I'm actually beginning to wonder if 6'6" ball handling guard is actually is a more important prototype than archetype or whatever you want to call it, player than the 6'9" wing. But it depends. If he becomes Luka, then you're fine. But
right, Boston's ridden those wings to a lot of success, and all the guys you mentioned they're good. But back to the hockey stick, let's add up all of their conference finals, all of their NBA finals, and all of their titles, because the Jazz are trying to win a title, but they certainly want to open the championship window and get to the Final Four. Now, maybe if it's horses for courses, right? Hey, if this is who Wembanyama is, build a team that is the Spurs' kryptonite, because that's who you're going to have to beat. And so maybe there's some logic.
I have no idea. I have
what that is.
Idea what it might be a team that has to take 73s, actually.
Because he can't block every 3-point shooter, right?
I mean, he just takes away half the court. If you watch the game and understand like what's supposed to be happening and where passes are supposed to go and where guys' routes are supposed to be, he literally within 5 seconds to 7 seconds of every possession ruins what the other team is doing and what their natural movements are supposed to be with his presence. It's incredible.
So then the question is a matter of degrees. It isn't not just this player they pick, can they shoot the three, but to what degree? Banchero, who we'll just use the example because you brought him up, that dude's shooting, I don't know, what is he shooting, David? 30, 32%? 31?
Yeah, 31.
So now, what if you have a guy who shoots 35, 36, 37? Or you got to go, you're not going to find Steph Curry shooting 45, but is somebody in this group going to shoot 40% from three?
Right. Well, the fascinating one is if you look at their college numbers, okay? The fascinating one is if you actually dig into Peterson, his above the break and his angle right on threes are both 29%. He's good angle left. And, you know, who knows, like, I don't know if those breakdowns really matter. The one of the guys we've talked about, the guy who's the best three-point shooter by far is Cameron Boozer. And what gets interesting to me on Cameron Boozer is if you look at the handoff bigs in the NBA, this is getting pretty esoterically narrow, but the players in the NBA, the bigs that play handoff are all non-shooters. Almost all of them are non-shooters. Jokic kind of in the middle. But they're Ishua Igudaro and, you know, just bigs who don't shoot. They play a handoff game. Domantas Sabonis, Alfred Sengun. The one big that plays the handoff game that can shoot is Karl Anthony Towns, and he's far and away the best in the NBA at it. And if you can play the handoff game with a big that can shoot, you might have a top 5 offense automatically.
If you're building to beat a team, if the Angels even buy into that, but if they do buy into that and you're building to beat a team, the knock on Boozer is, well, he's not that athletic. He can't elevate around the rim. Well, if it's impossible to jump over Victor Wembanyama anyway, what does it matter?
Right.
What is it? Why obsess about that? No one's dunking over the 7'4" guy. Show me the big guy who can score with both hands, who can shoot the three, who's a good teammate, who's a decent passer of the ball, you know, seems to have a winning attitude, judging by the winning he's done at various levels on the way to this point.
It's a very good point. Like, if you're going to beat Victor Wembanyama, you probably need to have – it's what Jokic does to him. You're going to have your big be the nucleus of the offense, and you're going to probably have to play a pick-and-roll handoff game where he's dropping the way Gobert does, and it's opening up an off-the-bounce three for somebody, and your big is going to have to pop to either keep him away from the basket or to get him there. And you're at that point, San Antonio's counter will be that Victor no longer guards your big and is now guarding somebody else on the floor, in which case now you have to have 5 shooters on the floor. So you have to make sure that whatever player they move Victor off of your big because your big can pop can hit the three that he's going to have to give up to protect the rim. That's so if you're building this thing to try to beat the Spurs, you bring up a great point. Yeah, Cameron Boozer might be the one you're talking about here.
David, we got to leave it right there for now. We love having you on. Go back to contemplating the cactus. Stay away from the rattlesnakes for sure. I don't know about the Gila monsters or the Gila monsters. I would have mispronounced it too because we didn't have them in San Diego. But I know about the rattlesnakes. Steer clear.
I will. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay, there is David Locke. We're going to take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So
What's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Mitchell to the half-court line. Donovan unloads. Baked it in! He baked it in to close out the quarter. Donovan Mitchell from half court. How about that? 47 feet away.
The biggest thing was just continue to understand to keep trusting the process and trust the work, right? And I work hard. We work hard as a group. And understand at some point you're going to push through, but definitely a mental test. 2 game sevens back to back definitely is a mental test. But that's why you put the work in. Understand that we got here, but we didn't just get here to be here. We're not going to be in New York just happy. That we got here. At the end of the day, they've been off for like 3 weeks. It feels like. So for us, we got to understand they're going to be rested. We got to come in and continue the momentum and go from there.
Cavaliers are back in the conference finals for the first time since LeBron James was there. They take down Detroit. You got your wish, PK.
I did.
3 road wins in a row.
I don't care about that. You care about that.
You said that earlier. I hope we get 3 road wins in a row.
We get 40, so you'd stop finally talking about it.
Nope.
Buildings don't determine outcomes. Players do.
Detroit didn't even come close. Beaten by 31 points at home, a Game 7 blowout of epic all-time proportions. So they'll try to figure it out. And Cleveland is on to play the New York Knickerbockers.
Yeah, I kept waiting for a run, and it didn't come.
Nothing. No heartbeat. Something. Anything. Western Finals start tonight. San Antonio, Oklahoma City, 6:30 on NBC. Eastern Finals tomorrow night. We'll get 1 game a night. NBC tonight for the Western Finals, and then ESPN and ABC will pick up the East. Anticipation, looking forward?
No, I always look behind.
Do you have favorites going to the finals here, or do you consider these series toss-ups?
Well, I'd go with the teams who had the better records in the regular season.
Thunder and Knicks.
I don't make predictions. Predictions are your thing. I couldn't care less who wins. I'm just going to sit back and watch the games.
Oklahoma City will be led by the MVP. The announcement coming that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins the award. Several worthy contenders. They went with the guy who has the most wins in a regular season. Go figure. And the update on the health of the guys in the East. OG Anunoby expected to be available when the finals start tomorrow. The hamstring strain is not as severe as ones he's previously endured, so OG cleared to go tomorrow night. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
The NFL is at this position right now because these traditional media companies cannot exist without an NFL package. If the delta gets to be billions of dollars, they will have to decide to exist without it. They'll decline faster. Cable TV will decline faster. And the only people who will be able to afford the NFL's packages will be great, big, trillion-dollar market cap companies. But they are also tough, mean companies.
Oh, yeah.
Netflix negotiated with us over the per diem cost of our production crew on an inexpensive documentary. They will not. They're going to look, Roger, whoever is the next commissioner is going to be sitting across the table with somebody who's going to go, if I don't have your rights, I'm okay because I'm still going to sell a ton of Apple phones. And if I don't have the NFL, I'll be okay.
That's former ESPN CEO John Skipper on the NFL. Another round of broadcasting rights fees. And how far can the NFL push the broadcast network?
So that's going to be bad news? Is that it for the consumer?
He thinks the NFL shouldn't bad news for the consumer and bad news for the NFL.
And why is it always like 10 years down the road, like all this global warming and the Earth is going to end in 25 years if we don't do this, and then 25 years comes and we're still going. These doom and gloomers in one ear and out the other.
Aaron Rodgers officially set to return to the Steelers on a one-year deal worth up to $25 million. He'll participate in the team's first day of OTAs today after arriving in town over the weekend.
Well, duh, he had no other offers.
There it is. Just waiting for that draft. Make sure they don't draft the young guy, and in he goes.
All the guys they draft are young.
Yeah, but not a quarterback. Didn't pick a quarterback. NFL owners are expected to vote and approve Nashville as host of the 2030 Super Bowl on Tuesday during their spring meetings. Titans are building a new stadium, and this could be a chance to celebrate that and send a Super Bowl to Tennessee. Seems to be the early speculation. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Big Ten coaches continue to push for the adoption of a 2014 college football playoff at the league's spring meetings in Southern California. They said moving the start of the season up to week 0, getting rid of conference title games, and ending the season by early January remain priorities as well. Big Ten looking to reshape college football. You think it's happening?
No.
SEC will hold firm?
Well, when? Is it happening? No. It might happen, but is it happening? No. Are you asking me, will it happen?
In 2026, it will not happen, that is set. But do you think it will happen for 2027?
No.
Yeah. So it's down the line again. It's another thing we can look forward to in a few years. Possibly. Kyle Whittingham and Michigan get a commitment from Charles Woodson Jr., son of the former Heisman Trophy winner Charles Woodson. He's a 5'11", 160-pound defensive back prospect out of Orlando, Florida. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Caro hits a fly ball out into deep left center field. It's back there. It is gone! Edgar Caro wins it! Shut up!
Chopper over the mound toward the middle of the infield. Runner coming home. There's no play. Simeon scores. Game over. The Maine Mets, one comeback at a time, have won the series. They win this one in 10, 7-6.
Mets walk it off against the Yankees, take 2 out of 3 in the Subway Series. The Mets still straining to get back to 500. They're not there yet, but the Phillies are 15-4 under Don Mattingly. What a 19-game run for them, and they are over 500 after beating Pittsburgh. That is an amazing turnaround for those guys.
Okay, but then it's May. They won 95 games last year. Who's surprised if they win 90 this year?
Chicago White Sox beat the Cubs 9-8 in 10 innings. White Sox take 2 out of 3 in the battle in the Windy City.
Yeah, 2 games over 500 for a team that sucked. Won 8 of 9. Good for them.
Right. They were down there doing all-time kind of awful stuff. Dodgers sweep the Angels. Dominating fashion. They have not been able to hit, but against the Angels, they light it up. 10 runs on 11 hits.
Yeah, Angels suck
Yep.
again.
Corey Seager, back spasms, set to undergo an MRI to determine if there are any other issues associated with his back. He's in an 0 for 27 slump in Texas, so he might be headed for the injured list. Jose Altuve definitely is oblique strain, grade 2, so he'll be out for a while. Bees wrap up the series with El Paso with a defeat. They're hosting Tacoma tomorrow. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Travis plays a square ball. Heavy deflection. It's going to fall to Salons into the area. Cut back for Gozo. Yes! Xavier Gozo again. Salons the assist, and it's 1-1. Glad to Sanabria. Sanabria lifts one into Salons. Header, yes! From the penalty spot, Salons puts RSL in front, 2-1.
And RSL wins 2-1 and moves into third place in the West. They have been dominating teams at home. That's 7 out of 8 at home. Messi came in and gave them the loss, but other than that, They keep piling up the wins at home. They're headed to Minnesota on Saturday, and it was the youngsters starring with Salons getting a goal and assist, and Gozo now has 6 goals and 4 assists as well.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, what's he, 14?
Gozo's 19, but I get your point. Salons is 23.
23.
23 now. Yeah.
Whew, good thing we settled that. Our listeners are wondering.
Utah Royals push their unbeaten streak to 8 games. They beat Racing Louisville 2-1, and they climb into second place in the NWSL. Miller's out there watching a lot of wins. Steve Starks has to be happy. DJ and PK.
#golf.
Aaron Rye has just hit a beautiful birdie putt on 17, and he drains it. From 50 feet, Aaron Rye is unstoppable at a Runnin Utes. He is 9 under par.
Aaron Rye comes alive in the final round and blows past the field and wins by 3 shots. John Rahm, third-round leader Alex Smalley, finishing 3 back tied for second. Aaron Rye gets the Wanamaker Trophy.
Yeah, I ride or die with him. We got $3 million.
Nice.
That's a lot of rye bread.
$3.7 million. Another $700,000 of rye bread. Throw that on top of the truck before he drives away.
Amazing. I thought it was 68 feet. That gal said 50.
She was estimating live. I think the 68 feet is the number everybody's going with. You were at the Copper Rock Championship. How do I pronounce Fiona? Is it Fiona Zhu?
Yeah.
Fiona Zhu wins the Copper Rock Championship 13 under the Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane, Utah.
Yeah. She's an LPGA player. She won it 2 years ago. Randy Dotson had told me that there was a lot of LPGA players in there because they were preparing for the Women's Open, U.S. Open coming up. She was down by 1 at 16, and then the Canadian gal went bogey, bogey, bogey.
Ouch.
Yeah, 17. This Fiona was short and chipped it short and then made about a 10-footer that was super clutch because it could have been tied going into 18, but it was not to be. She won. And I was right there. I had on a Sun Devil hat. This big dude, big African-American dude calls me over, and he's got one of those MAGA hats on, and I think, oh, where are we going with this? He says, I got a U of A hat in the car. You want me to get it? I said, yeah, I do, man, because I got some matches, and we can burn it, and then you never have to have it again. And he just busted up, and then he showed me a picture of him in a University of Arizona football uniform about 30 years ago.
Yeah, really?
But it was a lot of fun, man. Copper Rock was in great shape. The wind wasn't too bad. You know, it can get windy over there.
Hence the name Hurricane, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's as you know, my pronouns are him and Hurricane because I love being over there. And it was a sensational event, I thought. I thought they pulled it off. I was there every day, enjoying it, and it was a lot of fun. And these ladies are just awesome compared to the average golfer. You know, you always hear, well, you can take a average City League team and they can beat the WNBA's best. And that always I hate that. Drives me nuts. I hate that. Or a high school team can beat the U.S. women's soccer team, high school boys team, obviously. Yeah, they're built differently. I get it. It's such a dumb comparison, but nobody ever says these professional women golfers, you could take the average City League guy.
Nope.
They never say that.
That's not how that would work.
Because they'd get their butts kicked.
Yeah, you'd be over there looking for your ball under a tree, and they'd be sitting there lining up a birdie putt.
Yes, precisely, man. As they hit the ball so pure, you can hear it. You don't even have to. If you go by the tee, and you can close your eyes, and you could hear it, and you know that's a great drive.
Yeah.
And then walk 250 plus down the middle, and you'll find the ball. Yeah, but it's funny. You never hear that. You never hear that out of people. You always hear the degrading stuff, which is so blatantly stupid to say. Drives me nuts. Continue to reduce women's sports, and that should never be done. But they never say it over here, which shows you how good they are. Absolutely, man. It was fun being out there. I look forward to going next year if I have the opportunity.
Pros wrap it up. They'll move on to their next tournament. So now it's about the college golf. BYU and Utah the men's teams begin play in the NCAA regionals today. BYU, number 24, is the 4 seed in the Athens, Georgia regional. Utah is the 6th seed in the Columbus, Ohio regional. So college golf today.
The top 5 teams from both those regionals make the championships.
Where are the championships here, you know?
They are in Carlsbad, California. Omni.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, luckily they're not here in Salt Lake City, Utah today.
Right?
Yep.
Not really golfing
Winter.
weather.
Be pretty rough.
DJ and PK.
#NHL.
Sabres come up big Saturday night in Game 6. They routed Montreal 8-3. That series is tied 3-3. So they're going to play Game 7 in their second-round series tonight, 5:30 on ESPN. Winner to the Eastern Conference Finals to face Carolina. So you got hockey at 5:30, and the basketball gets underway at 6:30. Vegas Golden Knights were stripped of their second-round draft pick, and head coach John Tortorella has been fined $100,000 for flagrant violations of the NHL's Stanley Cup playoff media regulations as they refused to open the locker room. And Tortorella declined to speak to the media after the Game 6 win over Anaheim.
After they won, too.
I know. Some of their players did go to the podium post-game, but not enough, so they're getting fined.
So stupid.
It really is.
In 15 minutes, you're done.
Look at these. Nobody's got more money in the NFL right now, and they are running their guys out there in the offseason. And these guys have people ducking in the regular.
You won a playoff series, and you close the locker room.
Fans might want to hear from you, but whatever. Slacker radio headlines and what is trending. Slacker's coming up later. What am I doing? Why do I always do that? What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. 8 o'clock, Steve Cleveland will be here. We'll talk NBA playoffs with Steve. Dr. Chris Hill, former Utah athletic director, has a book coming out. He told us a little bit about that before. He'll be back in studio this morning. We can talk some college sports with him, and we'll talk about his book, stories from his tenure at the University of Utah. A lot of stuff happened on his watch. We will talk with him coming up at 8:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, the question of the day. Donovan Mitchell back in the spotlight, in a bigger spotlight than ever before. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeComb.
Joining us now, Kurt Heelan, NBC Sports Pro Basketball Talk.
Kurt, who's your favorite watch in the NBA, out of curiosity?
I'm always partial to dynamic, fast-playing teams and teams that move the ball. So honestly, I was watching a lot of Charlotte this year. I would say LaMelo Ball when he can play, and that's partially because he can be so good, and also because there's a train wreck waiting to happen. He was much better this year because his number of just "what are you thinking" passes went from 10 a game to 5.
I love watching Ball at times too, but I wouldn't want to build a team around him either. You may see him just like he does out on the court. He may, "What are you doing?" And as he crashes into the side of a car on his way out of the team line. He's been like 17 accidents. I mean, he plays like he drives.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
The KSL Sports Zone and BI Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Question of the morning, Donovan Mitchell leads the Cavs over Detroit and makes the conference finals for the first time. Has he removed the doubts? Jade, nope. Jeff, no.
Why not?
Wes, no, the Pistons barely got past the Magic. It's not all impressive. He's got to be Brunson and get to the finals. Then the doubts about him would be gone.
So if he gets to the finals, that's good enough.
No.
Why not?
Well, if the question is he going to win a championship, then the only thing that removes that is the championship.
That's not the question.
The question used a
vague.
Yeah. Has he removed the doubts about what? About his ability
to be a star player.
About his ability to lead a team to the conference finals? Yes, it has. That's not the ultimate goal. I mean, the ultimate goal is, can he lead his team to a championship? Because the ultimate question here, because everything comes back to the Jazz, is should the Jazz have traded him? Could they win a championship if they kept him? That's what
we'll never know.
We won't. But we'll look at the results of the rest of his career and assume yes or no, which will be arguable because who knows what the team would have been like here versus the team there.
Well, yeah. Right. So we'll never know that.
Earl says, did Carl and John remove the doubts when they first got past the second round? Nope. They went on to lose to the Blazers, and nobody even knows who they beat.
Carl and John versus Donovan Mitchell. That's a fair comparison.
2-on-1. And I would argue also with when he says nope, I would say yes. They were going to rebuild the team. They did rebuild the team. They chose to keep those two guys and build around them. You and I got here after that happened, but I heard from other people in the media here that, if they'd gone out, if they'd checked out in the first or second round again, they'd have blown that up. And they flew past Seattle in 5 games and into the conference final. And they really rebuilt around those guys and got Hornacek. And we all know, they ended up in the conference finals pretty routinely after that. So I would say that, it did matter. I think that winning every step of the way matters. I think the first time you win a playoff series, just to get to the second round, that matters. When Jordan did it, there was a ton of emotion. It was a first step along the way. Every time you break through to a new level, I think it matters. It goes back to what you always say about the playoffs. That's a defining thing in the NBA for all of the best players. For the role guys, what they do in the regular season may define them. But for the top-paid players on each team, it's the playoffs.
I think Donovan Mitchell has removed any doubt that he is a perennial all-star, top 15 player in the league.
I think people might argue top 15. Certainly some would argue for it. But if you went top 25, I think people would be
top 25?
Well, that's a perennial all-star.
No,
Okay.
I disagree.
No.
20 through 24, 25, those aren't
Not
the
perennial.
same guys every year.
2 in and out, yeah.
Those guys are extremely interchangeable. Guys like Mehmet
top 15. The reason I balked on
Mike Conley.
Yeah, Hornacek a year, Mark Eaton. We can list a lot of guys who've had 1 or 2 appearances along the way.
Right. That's why I went top 15.
Yeah, the reason I edged on the top 15 was he's not on the all NBA teams every year. So
that's a freaking vote.
Well, I mean, all-star games are votes of coaches and fans to some degree. I mean, that's a little
right. And coaches matter a lot more to me.
Yeah.
Than
as opposed to having Yao Ming get 1 million
fan.
votes from one city in China.
Right.
And 1 million from another.
So I think he's a top 15 player. Yes.
Benjamin says no because the East has been pretty weak this season. The Brunson-Mitchell playoff battle will be interesting. Brunson always had his number in the West. Always. I remember one playoff series. I don't know if I remember more than that.
We'll see. I view especially if they win this one, and I would sort of like to see it, because I'm a zagger when they zig and a zigger when they zag. He takes a lot of abuse around here. And, you can criticize him for leaving, criticize him for he thought he needed to be political, and then he tells us his mother had to work multiple jobs just so they could attend country day school. Give me a break. You're not a street guy. No matter how much you want to pretend you are, you're not. It always cracks me up when the affluent, we'd get it every campaign. I'm a man. I'm a woman of the people. You lived a privileged life. Enjoy it. And you could try to sell us that, but I don't know that people are buying it. And who cares? Good for you. But on the court, between the lines, I don't think he should take near the crap that he gets. He's a really good player. Is he great? Is he going to win an MVP? Probably not. But he's still really good. And especially if he gets to the finals, I don't want to hear any about it because I don't hear anything about Doncic. And what has Doncic won?
Been to a final, got beat.
I got Locke saying he would trade everything. Everything. He's your guy. Listen, I sat back and those 25 minutes interrupted that you guys talked basketball on Friday and we replayed it this morning. It was beautiful. The handoff big, the right wing off the bounce. Oh, I got a tutorial in basketball listening to you two guys go to town. He's your guy. And he said he would trade everything to get Doncic. Everything. That means you've got nothing left.
That was what everything would mean. Thank you, PK, for spelling that out.
And why does he not take abuse then? What has he won? But I got Shaq, Rip, and Donovan Mitchell? No. Why? It must cease and desist now, and I'm going to get an order to make sure it happens.
Doncic has more size, came in better thought of, and has still gone deeper in the playoffs.
It's not a tape measure.
And has still gone deeper in the playoffs.
That's why I said if he goes to the finals, then I don't want to ever hear it again, unless I hear it about Doncic. I put the if in there.
Ricky, let's go Knickerboxers. Well, you don't spell it with an X, but we get your idea, Rick. Ricky's all about New York.
Right, this hatred for Mitchell must cease.
Caleb, Detroit was a weaker number one seed by far. It means nothing. Oh, it means something, Caleb.
Come on.
Come on, it means something.
They won 60-plus games. The other teams in the East didn't.
Sure, they didn't. Took them down.
And they had to win Game 7 on the road. The impossibility. You had the Cavs winning 2 games ago. You had them winning in Game 6 because somehow the game was scheduled in Cleveland. And he goes on the road against all odds.
Sing it, Phil.
I mean, come on. A hostile environment, Detroit.
There, got pretty quiet pretty quick.
Detroit is a nasty place full of nasty people.
And it was 17 by halftime. just lighten them up. We are getting multiple comments. The Aggies are making themselves heard. Sam Merrill went off with 23 points.
We'll get to that tomorrow.
5 of 8.
We got 4 segments worth of guests today, so I didn't want to burn that today.
Didn't want to burn the Sam Merrill?
Yeah, so just ignore that one.
Okay, all right. People bountiful will just hold on for a second.
We'll be here tomorrow, God willing. But Mitchell is the star. So if we're going to criticize the star when they lose, we have to praise the star when they win.
Yeah. And getting to a conference final when you've never been there is a big deal.
Yeah.
Brett, no. One more series win at the very least.
I think at that point it becomes almost to the point of untouchable in terms of criticism of Mitchell.
If he gets to the NBA Finals and Wembanyama, for instance, goes off, you're like, well, he's not.
Well, if they have the better team.
He's not 7-4. Yeah.
What do you expect him to do? we'll have to see how if they win,
right?
B, how the final
how it looks, how competitive it is.
Because if some team is just simply better than you, that's the way it goes.
Is Jason Kidd the comp here? I mean, that's a guy who was really good for a long time.
No, I think Doncic is.
Late in his career, he broke through. Yeah, and Doncic still has a lot of his career to write, though.
So does Mitchell.
Whereas Kidd, I know, but Kidd
I think Mitchell is 10 times better than Jason Kidd.
Because he got quite a bit of Kidd got a lot of love for getting to the NBA Finals in the East when it was weaker, and then they played a better team, and he's not a 7-footer, and what's he going to do about Duncan and blah, 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 and they got rolled.
He can't shoot.
But he got right. But he got
he's a nice player.
His
but
rep, really.
If you're asking me who I would take between the two, I would take Mitchell.
But I'm talking about the impact on the reputation.
No, Kidd won a title with the Mavericks. So, no.
Yeah, but he wasn't the guy.
True. He still won one.
Scott says, let's go Cavs. I'm born in Northeast Ohio. I've been a Cavs fan since the 80s when I was a kid watching Price and Darter and Elo lose to Jordan and the Bulls.
Okay, well, then you have every right to root for him.
So Scott is on board.
If you're from that area of the country, absolutely. It's a little sliver of the country.
Yeah.
It's not like, Cleveland is not, just has enormous amounts of fans all over the place. It's sort of a sliver there, Northeast Ohio. You know what I mean? Not the tri-state area. It's not Southern California, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a smaller area, so to speak, there. And if you're from that area, then you have every right to be pulling for the Cavs. As long as you were a Cavs fan when you're growing up. Don't be jumping on the bandwagon here.
He knows that's coming, so he's like, I suffered. Jordan and the Bulls. I suffered.
Okay. Yeah. Then you should be celebrating right now.
He's got to say, he goes, Donovan is no doubt the leader of the team. It's a nice, solid, all-around team, except for Harden. Jared Allen came up huge. Scott does not like James Harden.
Well,
seems to be working
they were
right
talking
now.
about that. I think Van Gundy had made the point on the show during the game. He said he wanted to see less of Harden, and he saw less of Harden.
Yep.
And so Harden is, if he's there to win, and you're 36 years old, man. You've made millions.
Yeah.
What do you care about credit? You just want to win. I mean, who cares who's the man, who's not? I'm playing a secondary role, what have you. Just win. Whatever it takes. Because the one game he didn't play, and they won. He was hitting big shots all over the place. It may come to that. And they got the game a couple games ago, Max Strus.
Yep, Strus in Game 5 was huge.
And then Merrill last night.
Merrill's big in Game 7. Save it for tomorrow.
It's all about winning at that point. I mean, when you get to the postseason, really it should be about it the whole time. But especially the postseason, what are you worried about? Who gets the glory and all that? I mean, the one year Iguodala got the final MVP. There's somebody, Steph Curry, he didn't get the final MVP that year. No one remembers that.
I think Steph Curry's
who cares?
Yeah.
Just find a way to win, whatever it takes. That's all that matters. Mitchell will be the first guy to tell you that. If he wins the NBA title and Jared Allen gets MVP or Mobley or Harden, whomever, he'll be celebrating wildly. What difference does it make?
Jake, I'm happy for Donovan Mitchell, but the East is so terrible this year. It doesn't mean much. I'm not impressed. Let's see how they do in the next round. Okay, well, they're still in the East if the East is terrible.
Well, what do you mean you're so happy but you're not impressed? That's an oxymoron.
Well, if you're rooting for Donovan, but you have some level of, impartiality and analysis, you're not just going to wave the pom-poms for him all the time.
Well,
I'm happy
in the
for him,
West,
exclamation point.
in a game they lost, he went for 39-9-9. It's in the West, the mighty West. and now he's doing it again in the crappy East. Well, what's the common denominator? He did it in the West, he did it in the East. You want it in the North and South, too? What else do you want? Come on. That idiot takes this morning.
Brian says, I think the Knicks are going to win the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks have more scoring options. The Pistons, they only have one primary scorer in Cade.
Yeah, but they're not playing the Pistons. They're playing the Knicks.
No, I think his point is the bar is getting raised here. This is going to be a lot harder.
Then if he should accomplish it, don't tell me that it's E. You just got done reading stuff, and I know it's not you, but it's other people telling me the East is so weak, and now the bar's gotten raised substantially. And really, this is the first time I've really watched Detroit in more than just a snapshot.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, wow, they won 60 games with really only one scoring option?
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. Because that's true.
Right.
And, I hadn't really don't pay much of attention to Detroit anymore. And but then they get good. And so, I watch most of those games. And he's right. It's Cade Cunningham. He didn't have a big game. So, but they won 14 games 2 years ago. And they had to celebrate that they got to the second round and seventh game. That's pretty doggone good for what they're trying to do. And we'll see how they develop. I saw a thing yesterday that said they're targeting Lowry Markkanen. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I did. You can go look that up.
Yeah, it was him and one other player. Apparently, they're going to go after.
I seen it. Yeah, Troy Murphy.
Yeah, Troy Murphy. That's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, he's typing it up right now. He's going to look.
Targeting Markkanen.
No, he does it softly, so the listener can't hear it, but they can see it now. Hey guys, how you doing out there? Would you flip him off?
I give him the peace sign. What's up?
I don't see because your fingers are so skinny now. Your fingers are so narrow. I didn't see the one finger. I only saw the other finger.
That's why we have 3 referees of the game, PK. Bad angle. You're screened out.
And Kobe studied that. He studied where they were and what he could get away with. The nuances. I listened to him talk about that, and I was fascinated by it when he was talking about it. He studied where they go because they all go to the established positions, basically, of where they should be, and then he knew what they could see and what they couldn't see. That's right down to the minute detail, and he was talking about that, and that was interesting, to say the least, when he was going on that. But I think Mitchell has clearly proven himself to be a star. And, and the fact that, okay, he's not 6'6", 6'7", blah, 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 that makes it all the more impressive. That's not a knock on him. That's actually to show you how good he is.
There's no question it's harder to play the game when you're shorter. Now, it's also why people pick against him or say he's not good enough to be considered in whatever top tier because they assume that's going to be a problem as he gets closer to the mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why people are just going crazy over Wembanyama, and David Locke dropped the 4 in a row for Wembanyama. And there are all these assumptions when you're that big.
Okay, well then that's why they should drop Bonsa because he's that big. And that's why Detroit knows they could go after Markkanen because they know the Jazz are getting AJ. The word is out.
Everyone's doing the math on the Jazz and the Cap. Something's going to have to give, and it's going to have to give pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you have a player that, is a similar height anyway.
Got to pay Keontae. They already got 2 guys signed up for $100 million. They still got to build the rest of the team.
And who can slide right in there, and that's Darren Peterson can't slide in and take Markkanen's spot. But DeBonsa can.
See?
Yeah. Hey, it adds up, don't it?
It does. The Jazz salaries add up, and then it adds up while all these other teams are circling.
Just that I don't know who the heck Detroit has that I would be interested in outside of Cunningham.
And then you start looking, is there a way to build a 3-team deal and bring a third team in to get them enough stuff?
Yeah,
because Detroit's not the only one.
I don't want anybody who Detroit has.
I get it. And Detroit's not the only team out there.
Unless it's Cunningham.
Detroit's not the only team out there that can do the math on the Jazz and the cap issues that they're going to face.
Right.
So a thing came up when you said that about Miami and Markkanen.
Well, he's been rumored for just practically every team in the league that used to be good and has 1 or 2 good players and could potentially elevate themselves with the services of Markkanen because he's a really good player too. So, and the Jazz. But I think that also could be, all right, we're done with that. That was when that was when I could go get Markkanen off the Jazz in the manner that the Jazz went and got Jackson off Memphis. He's a good player. They had their day, but they're in a rebuild mode now. The difference being, of course, the Jazz haven't had their day with this group.
No, The thing that they would have in common is, hey, there's a team that's going, because of their circumstances, even though the circumstances are different, there's a team that's going to need to make a move. In Memphis, it was because of a rebuild, whereas in Utah, it's like, oh, they're going to run into cap problems here. They're going to have to move somebody. So start making your calls and do your homework. The thing is, I don't think they have to do that right now. I mean, we're talking about the right now. That may be something for, the trade deadline in a year and a half or in summer in 2 years.
Hatback is willing to pay
down
it.
the road. Maybe he is, right?
Yeah, I was thinking more that they want Dabonsa, and that clears a spot for him in the immediacy. Rather, you think money. I don't worry about salary cap. That's for other people to worry about. If I'm going to worry about salary cap stuff, that takes all the fun out of being a sports fan. Let some capologist. I don't get into that. I don't even know what the apron is and all that other stuff. Who grows up studying that? Well, that's not why I became a sports fan.
Yep.
To worry about arbitration or this or stuff. I mean, they all make millions and billions of dollars, and so that's never going to change. So I want to be a pure sports fan. I want to have fun with it, especially now more than ever. I got way less time than I do behind me, ahead of me, whatever that is. The fact is, by the time Dabonsa hangs it up, I'll be dead.
You'd rather watch half-court shots get banked in and 68-foot putts curl and break and slow down and drop in the hole.
Yeah. I mean, I don't worry about what kind of money Tom Cruise gets for Mission Impossible. Why should I worry about what kind of money these guys get? And what's the difference? It's entertainment.
Because they're going to break up your favorite team. Except you don't have a favorite team. But that's why fans worry about it. They fall in love with players or teams, and then they end up getting broken up here.
Yeah, but that's I enjoy players.
You actually enjoy players more than teams.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But then they'll have to figure that out. But I'm not going to try to anticipate it and figure it out. I just want to see them get out there and ball and have fun. And if they can stay, the longer they can stay together, the better. I mean, the community, every community eats that stuff up. I talked about Ramondo and Beckerman. I mean, they were staples every year. Boom, they're out there. Gave the franchise and the sport, which isn't a big time sport. It's big time, but not big time here locally or in the country. It gave the team an identity, and people could identify with that. And for the statues for so many years, and when they broke up this team here. I didn't necessarily enjoy it, But I mean, it's going to end at some point. Everyone does, so they'll figure that out. But we'll see what they can do, and if they desire to, not desire, but if they have to, I guess maybe is a better way of phrasing it. If they have to trade Markkanen, okay, we'll just get other good players back for them. I mean, because trading him, if it's in your best interest, do it. Because it is a business, as Donovan Mitchell would say, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, and at the end of this segment. DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Listen to us on the KSL Sports app as well. Top of the hour. More about this with Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach. He joins us at the top of the hour. Former Utah Athletic Director Dr. Chris Hill with a book out at 8:30. A lot of memories for Ute fans, a lot of stories. We will talk with him and see what he thinks about the future of college athletics as it continues to change very quickly. That's coming up at 8:30. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
I'd almost guarantee you Washington knows who they're going to pick. All that other stuff is just garbage. It always is. Sure. All that other stuff is, there's this person's number one this time. And this person. Washington today knows their guy.
The Jazz probably know who they would take it to right now.
Absolutely do.
I was talking to somebody and they said, yeah, the 27 and 28 draft stink. The 28 draft, that's 2 years away. They're like, yeah, it's a bad draft. Okay.
Right.
So they've known this draft is going to be good for a long time, which is A, why they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., why they set this up for 4 years, because they knew that this was how long they had to rebuild and wanted to have a chance in the Wemby draft, the Cooper Flag draft, and this draft. It was a great section to rebuild. Why the Jazz did it at exactly this time. It's probably why they were comfortable trading Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert when they did, knowing that this is what was coming down the pipeline, but also knowing that you probably have to end in 2026 because the 2027 and 2028 drafts stink.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G and the coach Tim Lacombe Wednesday, 10 to noon at the Bar WB pop-up event at the Cal Ranch store at 950 North Main Street in Spanish Fork. NBA Conference Finals. You got any other lessons the Jazz can learn watching these four teams advance? We always talk about it. We watch the playoffs through the lens of the Jazz. What's the model for winning? How do you do it?
I think the model is what Oklahoma City has been doing, and that's the model. It's impossible for you to anticipate getting a 7'4" player who's as skilled as a 6'4" player. The guy's Jerry West out there.
Yeah.
Right? And that they don't grow on trees. And San Antonio,
I don't know how they do it,
I want
but
to say bleep them.
Yeah, I know.
And they got it. And
the
good for
third
them.
time they've had the number one pick in the right year.
Which is probably why I would root for Oklahoma City. But in the end, it doesn't really matter to me. But I think Oklahoma City is the model, and the Jazz have been going down that road. And they're built to win to an extent next season. But it's also, and maybe you can say this all the time about most teams, it's also an evaluation period to see what they need to do to get better, unless they shock the world and this thing comes together much better than we anticipate. I think it'll come together well, but I don't think it's going to be, they're going to go into the season or the postseason as the favorite by any stretch. But that's okay, because then they can see where they stack up, what they need to do, how much development of Keontae George wasn't just scoring a bunch of points with teams that lacked intensity because they knew they could beat you, or who's to say, no, what Keontae George did was extremely legitimate. And Locke was talking about on Friday that, hey, if that draft, what was it, the 22 draft? 23 was it?
If they redrafted, he'd go way higher.
He said third. Yeah, and maybe that's not that unusual. You can, and so it's always fun to do and go back.
If you redrafted the Donovan Mitchell draft.
Or whatever
draft.
Right,
yeah. Or Gobert.
And so clearly that is to be determined. How real good is he? He's good, but how real is that good?
There's validating what we saw the last year and trying to figure out how real it is. And then there's also what kind of improvement's going to be made in the next year.
Which there should be.
Yep.
I mean, you got to love everything he says. It seems like, man, he got his head on straight. And
that was a very, very big summer. How many varies should I put in that? That was a very, very,
and he took a quantum leap in the mental aspect and the maturity aspect.
And then it all showed up on the court.
Yeah. So you got to be encouraged by that and the stuff that he says and the way he's been acting as a leader when he was on the bench, and the younger guys, even the younger guys, maybe not, or the less heralded guys, because some of them may be his age or older, because he's still a young pup, how he was cheering him on and all that stuff. And the body language for Keontae George was excellent. And so that should lead to excitement. And he represents the team. He looked really sharp back there in New York or Jersey at the lottery thing, right? And he did the interviews, and he's stood up and made himself accountable. That's really cool. And how Jackson is going to fit in. And Jackson's more of a proven guy, so I expect it won't be necessarily seamless, but I don't think it'll be a problem. So there's a lot of excitement, but yet at the same time, they still have room for evaluation on how to get better. But the good thing is you're dealing, as you try to get better, I believe, from a position of strength.
DJ and PK, when we come back, we'll talk NBA playoffs and rebuilding the Jazz with Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, next. Stay with us.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains May 15th through the 28th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined now by Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Donovan Mitchell. Utah can't take their eyes off of him. What could have been? How good could he be? He's in a conference final for the first time. It's not the big prize, but it's an important prize along the way. He's got to be feeling pretty good. How impressed were you?
Oh, amazing. I mean, he just has so much confidence. And, you look at them against the Pistons in Game 7, and he goes 26, 6-3 at 29. I mean, he's just playing with so much confidence and playing. He's taken this team and will continue to take this team on his shoulders. And just watching the games and just listening to the different broadcasts and people, and everybody's pretty excited about what he's doing, and obviously he's surrounded with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and James Harden, and as I just watch this unfold, I'm sitting there thinking to myself that here's James Harden, who was, the kingpin in basketball for a long time, and now he's taking a more of a simpler role and not nearly as impactful. And but with that group, between Max Strus, Mitchell, Harden, Mobley, Jared Allen, they become a really, really fine-tuned team. And it's fun to see that. It's fun to see Donovan Mitchell have success. And even the guy like Sam Merrill, who makes contributions to this team, a local product out of Utah State. And it's fun to watch. Hopefully they'll continue to play that well, and we'll see what happens here with East Finals and against the Knicks.
It's amazing to me, you brought up Sam Merrill, to think that he's going to have a better NBA career than Jimmer. It just seems shocking. But at the same time, that's where we're at, and it's a real credit to Sam to find a role and just fit that role and play it.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any question. And, I've watched him for a number of years, and he's kind of gone unnoticed and under the radar. But, he just played well, and it's fun to see what he's doing and what's going to happen here in the playoffs. It's going to be exciting to watch.
You consider these two series toss-ups? You think somebody's got a decided advantage in these two conference finals?
Oh, you know what? It's hard for me to think that the Knicks are not going to win the East. I just feel like obviously they play the Sixers, and that was a joke. But at the end of the day, my heart tells me a little bit that the Knicks are going to be really tough to beat in a series like that. But my heart says go Cavs, and we'll kind of see what happens.
My last opportunity of the year to talk to Kevin Young this season, when I say year, I mean season, we're in the hallway up there in the Moda Center in Portland, right? And he says, he's talking about building his team for next season. And he said, and this is going to be a Jazz-related question, just to give you a heads up, that to him, the Holy Grail is shooting, right? And it stuck with me. And he said that, and there's a couple other media guys and myself were just kind of casually talking to Kevin as he's wrapping up the season. And so he's talking about what he wants to do going forward. And he literally says the Holy Grail. He used that phrase. And so now with the Jazz and their perspective, David Locke, who we all respect his basketball mind, he's really nervous about DeBonce's shooting ability, right? Because he seems like he's got everything else that you would need. length, athleticism, desire, work ethic, blah, 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 right down the list, right? But the shooting in a league, in a game, not just a league, in a game where shooting has become so paramount, he's nervous about it. And I get it, right? I understand that. My thought for you is shooting, and what do you think of him, and how much can guys improve their shooting? Because the kid is still only 19 years old.
Well, the first thing I would tell you is that the amount of time that he's going to put into this process is going to be unlike anything he's done at any other time. I mean, it's one thing as a collegiate player, and you get better on your own, and you have coaches working you out. But getting to the next level and getting to the NBA and putting yourself in a position with multitude of coaches and just the details of improving shooting, he's going to spend more time in the next few weeks than he has in most of his first year as a collegiate player. And so I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, he's got a great mid-range game, and I watched him play pretty much every game. And there were nights that he hit threes and shot the ball well, and there were some nights that he won't. But I think his mechanics are good enough that he's going to continue to get better, and that he'll have more confidence, and he'll be surrounded by people helping him get better. I just don't see that as being a big problem right now. Well, we'll see. We'll see where he ends up playing and what ends up happening and whatever the circumstances are. But I love this guy. I just think he's got a sense of where kind of he is all the time. One of my favorite books growing up was a Bill Bradley book. Nobody in this broadcast probably knows who he is, but he's a guy that was with Princeton, and it was a sense of always knowing where he was, and became a great shooter. And I think AJ has a sense of where he is when he's on the floor, and whether it's in the paint, whether it's in the perimeter. I just see him getting better, and I just don't think that's going to be an issue. The fact that he is a great mid-range shooter doesn't mean that he can't be a great three-point shooter. And I think he's going to be surrounded by really, really smart people that will get him to a position, because once he stretches the floor to the three, and I know the NBA three is different than the collegiate three, I think he's going to be really special.
Do you love the phrase "the Holy Grail is shooting," or as a guy who hired one of Rick Majerus's assistants and changed the way they defended and got the opponent's shooting percentage down to 40% or even a little lower, and suddenly you're an NCAA tournament team and the rebuild it was like jet fuel to your rebuild? Would you argue with shooting as the Holy Grail?
I have believed this and always believed that defense wins championships. And I just think that, yes, and it differs. I mean, you got high school and collegiate. You got the NBA. You got different levels and different advantages and circumstances that surround being great shooters. But I just think that in my experience, that teams that defend and continue to defend consistently are always going to be competitive. And I know the NBA is different than the college game, but I still do believe that even in the NBA, when you get down to the grind of an Oklahoma City who was outstanding and maybe back-to-back champions this year, I do believe that it's defense that makes the big stops, that makes big plays, and that's where you win championships. And, it'll be fun to watch this NBA and what takes place. But in my heart and mind and everything that I did for 35 years of coaching, that was always kind of our motto and our, where we stood our ground. And that was, we got to defend, we can get stops and get to the free throw line. Those are teams that win championships.
Where do you see DeBonta leveling out, say, at a percentage of three-point shooting? The closer, obviously, you can get to 40, the better you are.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. And, we've watched AJ at the collegiate level, and we know what he's capable of doing. I just don't see I see him being successful because of the ability that he does have to get into the mid-range game, to step out and hit threes, And I know that it'll take time. And nobody jumps into the NBA typically and has a huge impact. He and Peterson are, two of the bright spots, and as they go forward here with the draft and what it ends up looking like. And you can make arguments for either one. I just like AJ because he's so strong and gifted, and he's always in balance. He's not off balance, but he can make the Euro steps. He's really good at that in terms of getting into the mid-range game. And we'll just have to see what happens with three-point shooting. I'm not sure what his percentage ended up being collegiately. You guys might know that. But the shot doesn't look broke. It looks like he's got good rhythm, and he finishes it, and it's high. He's got the ball high in his hand. I think he's going to be just fine. And, again, the transition from college to the league, that there are some – there's some differences, and there'll be more size on the floor than he's used to dealing with. But if I'm going to pick him or Peterson, I'm taking AJ. I just think he's physically tougher and has the ability mentally, I think, too, that he has an advantage over Peterson. And Peterson's going to be a really good pro, and he may be an NBA All-Star for years, but they're both really good players. Peterson does have an upside in size and length, but I'm gonna stay with AJ.
You're not even putting Boozer into the discussion. He's a clear-cut third pick to you.
Yeah, I think so. And I've watched them play more than I thought I'd ever watch them play. And he's special too. It's interesting because there's a young man that his family lived in Fresno, and for a period of time, and so as I kind of evolved from living in California and coming here and following the league and being in Utah and following the Jazz. Boozer is really talented, and maybe have a greater upside down the road. We'll see. But I like AJ. I think Boozer and Peterson are both great. I think all three of them are going to be great pros. We'll see how it unfolds. You never know. Injuries are things that are always unexpected. Hopefully they'll stay three guys that will stay healthy and have long careers in the league.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, too, as far as the Bonsa, but I just wonder in my own preference and bias just how strong that is, because I saw him play in person a number of times, and obviously on television 3 times the amount on that. And that mid-range thing, to me, is so impressive that I'm talking myself into just like worst case scenario. Like if he can't shoot the 3 and it's really just in the 20s, okay, but then fake and get to the line and then just rise above everybody else and make that shot. Or do that Euro step. I keep joking that he ought to go in the Olympics and do the triple jump because his strides are like 8 feet per stride, it seems. And, he's such a high flyer that I think that, to me, he's the guy. But then, the shooting, and I keep hearing, it's like I can hear Kevin Young, and I can see, Holy Grail, PK, Holy Grail. And obviously I have an enormous respect for Kevin Young's basketball sense and his acumen, right? Because he's been there. He's been at a much higher level than I'll ever be. And so I'm conflicted. But in the end, I think I would I don't want to say roll the dice because it's too important to roll the dice. I don't want it to be a gamble. I want it to be somebody that the Jazz draft, plug in, and is good for the next decade. So I do have a little bit of conflict going on in inner turmoil.
I get that, and I think that when we look at Boozer and we look at AJ and we look at these guys, I see that in terms of they're going to have to step up, and they're Peterson I think is actually maybe the better shooter of the 3, and we'll have to see how that unfolds too. But the one thing that I really like about AJ, again, is the substance to his game, the maturity of his game. He just is an elite athlete, and he seems to really have his head on and straight, and he doesn't force stuff. He doesn't try to make plays. He takes what he can get, and you mentioned it, his Euro step and all the ways that he can get into the mid-range. But this we all will agree on. For him to be an elite player at the next level and play for 10 or 15 years and have an impact in that league, he has to become an elite three-point shooter. You cannot get this done without it, and so I say that, I leave that little caveat because I believe that he does have that ability. But for me, that's my number one focus as I watch him develop, is that can he shoot from 23, 25, 26 feet, and is he comfortable doing that? I've watched him play in college just like you guys have, but I think if there's anything that he still needs to take to another level to really have an impact in the league, he's got to be a guy that can knock shots down from 25 to 30 feet. And I'm not suggesting the contested shots. That's not what I'm talking about. When he gets a catch and there's one more and he's ready to shoot it at a distance that's significantly farther out than it is in college, then that's what you really have to look at in terms of where can he be at the next level.
PK was just throwing out numbers, but let's just go with it since it's a number you threw out in the 20s. He won't be able to fake and go by anybody and get to the mid-range if he's shooting not only in the 20s, but I even think in the low 30s, because they're just going to sit back and wait for him 15, 18 feet from the hoop, wherever he establishes that he's really good from. So in my mind, if he can get it over 35, then you can start to work with it. And obviously if he gets it to 40, then he's going to have an unbelievable career and unbelievable stats because all the other stuff is there. But he's got to get it to 35. He's got to get it to 35%. And he didn't in college. It was only 1 year, but he shot 33%. Now, we did see Yegor left BYU and went to the Nets, and he started figuring it out. So it can be done.
The thing is, I think it can be done. And I think the amount of time that you're dedicated to and the amount of support and coaches and staffs and all the things that come with that, I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't become a 35 to 40% three-point shooter. Like you mentioned, Yegor, I think that you put the time in and you're surrounded with people and pros that help you, great coaches, assistant coaches. He's going to have more help and more support in becoming who he wants to become and who we'd like to see him become than any other time in his life. And so my feeling is the upside of this is that he'll develop into a much, much better shooter, and he's already has the mid-range game. But you're absolutely right. If you can't shoot a three, they're just going to pack it in, and it's going to be hard for him to score anywhere on the floor. But my feeling in my heart is that he has that ability, that he'll have enough people helping him and spending time with him, that the things that he's really good at right now aren't going to be real difficult for him. He is. He and Peterson and Boozer, those guys are going to have to be good shooters. And I think he'll develop into that. That's my take on it. We'll see what happens a year from now or 2 years from now. But I like his ability. I like his tenacity and his grit that he has to compete in the paint and in those areas. But you're all right. I mean, he's got to be able to shoot the three to make his game complete. And I believe he can do that, and hopefully that will happen.
Steve, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us as always. Enjoy the games, and we will talk to you next week when we have a much better read on these conference finals.
That's true. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach. All right, Ute fans, Dr. Chris Hill is coming up in studio. He's got a book out, Trip Down Memory Lane, a lot of stories, and also where is college sports going now with the playoffs, the TV deals, the potential realignment, all the NIL money piling up. We'll talk with Chris Hill coming up next. Stay with us.
For Jazz fans, it's been a rough few years. Well, those days are behind us as the Utah Jazz finally struck gold in the NBA Draft Lottery. Picking second. As the Jazz prepare to draft a potential superstar with the number 2 overall pick, nobody will bring you better coverage of the NBA Draft than the KSL Sports Zone. For all the breaking news, high-profile interviews, and player analysis leading right up to draft night, keep it locked on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You were talking earlier this morning, PK. No doom and gloom on the future of college sports.
I just hate that outlook on anything. If we don't act now, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Stuff can be figured out. Even when it goes wrong, stuff can be figured out.
This is across the board.
You want 16 or 24? I mean, it's just like we're picking sides here.
Thousands? I want 24.
No, we're talking teams in a college football playoff. Because you got the SEC over here and a commissioner, even though some isolated coaches seem to be in favor of 24, the commission is standing firm on 16. And the Big Ten seems all in on 24. And they already rewrote the rules that those two leagues are going to decide and everybody else is going to go along with it. The Big 12 and ACC, for whatever it's worth, and I don't think it's much, have signed off on the Big Ten's plan for 24.
I don't want 24 without 16. I'm not
you want to see 16?
Yes, exactly.
See 16, see how it looks.
We've seen 12. I mean, we've seen this a few times. Like, the Mountain West or the WAC wasn't working.
So they went to 16 teams.
Yeah.
Whoa, easy.
Went over the top.
Yeah, that didn't work.
And then it didn't work. And fortunately...
Course correction, they went to Mountain West at 8.
And that worked.
It did. And then it went to 9.
And then that worked.
Right. 9, 10, 12. It worked for a long time until this recent split. I thought the Mountain West had a good thing going. Having grown up with one of those teams and covered another one here.
Before Utah went to the Pac-12 and BYU went independent, that was a good thing. They were going to bring in Boise. That was a good thing in basketball, the two sports that matter the most. And that got
Utah,
they got cut at the knees.
BYU, and TCU all left.
Yeah.
And so, it was a good thing. But then that whole decade and a half with Utah State coming in and getting good, and obviously Boise State was the big dog, and San Diego State and Fresno State had good runs, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Now it's split up with this Pac-12 Mountain West thing again, I know. I just have to accept, all right, everything changes. Here we go.
Right. So I would want to see 16 a little bit. 24 just seems like a watering down of the regular season.
I'm surprised by how much I like the more expanded playoff and by how much the playoff has justified itself.
The 12 years.
The 12. Because when it went from 2 to 4, which I thought was a great idea and I wanted to happen all along, and Steve Spurrier had a line, I like 4. I'm going to love 16. He always thought it was inevitable.
And you know what Steve Spurrier did Saturday night?
What did he do Saturday night?
He walked out at the Swamp with Morgan Wallen.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
He had 2 concerts
Morgan
there.
Morgan Wallen always loves to play the sports segment.
100,000 people, 2 consecutive nights.
Nice.
And the first Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. Friday, he walked out with Tebow. Saturday, he walked out with Spurrier.
Morgan Wallen. I like that.
2 local heroes.
Make sure you get loud cheers right out of the gate. Put everybody in a good mood.
Right.
Love that. At 4, I thought, and we talked about it, and maybe it was even true at the time, because I think NIL has spread the talent out in a way we couldn't really foresee. But if you pick the top 4 teams, you're going to have the best teams. Well, Miami barely got in. I mean, they were the 10th team in the rankings, and with the 2 automatic bids, they were the last team in. It was a big fight with Alabama and Notre Dame, and BYU didn't even get a sniff at I guess at that point they would have been 11-2.
Yeah.
And then Miami goes and wins at Texas A&M and wins again and presses Indiana in the title game. All right, I don't have a problem with 12 at that point. If you're having that big a problem figuring this out, nor would I have a big problem with Notre Dame getting in or BYU getting in. There's a little bit of Alabama, but maybe that's me and my bias being cranky about them getting in. So I don't really have a problem going to 16. I really don't have a problem going to 24, and I figure we're going there, so I figure I'd just accept it more quickly.
I would rather see 16 first.
See what the tournament looks like.
Yeah.
Make sure we
and
don't end up
what it does to the smaller schools. Does it destroy and eliminate and ruin and bowls? I want to see, because there's Yormark talked about what do they call that? The unintended consequences. Right. He talked about that at the Cowboys Stadium before the game. I was sitting right there. And we don't know what they are because they're unintended. We can anticipate some of them, but we don't know the full
ramifications.
Exactly.
There will be surprises.
Right. So let's go. It's not exactly baby steps. I think it's a big step to go from 2 to 4 to 12 to 16. But I'm more comfortable wanting to see what's around it, how does it work, and then see. Because the last thing we want is... And whoever thought we would say this, Kyle Whittingham sitting his quarterback at Michigan because they have a big game the week of the following week. So his quarterback, who's a little banged up, doesn't play against Ohio State. Wow, what a world.
And PK sold that, and if you're watching on the KSL Sports app or on YouTube, you might know why. Dr. Chris Hill just walked in the room, the former Utah athletic director.
Let's argue about something like that, will you?
Kyle Whittingham sitting his quarterback at Michigan against Ohio State because they got a playoff game the week after.
If that happened, he probably was in the hospital for something he broke or something. He's not going to avoid the sideline in that game.
Okay, his running back.
Okay, maybe that, but
somebody important.
Yeah, somebody.
Or flip side, Ryan Day doesn't.
Yeah, and who cares?
And one of the most storied wins, right? Who cares who wins?
Who cares who wins the game?
Because it's the next week,
right?
And therefore, from at that point, that's what really matters.
Yeah,
Makes me a little nervous.
Sure. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, we're all longtime college football fans here.
Yes, we are. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Well, the 3 of us are.
Yeah, there you go.
Yak is over there, And we don't want to see it hurt. We want to see it get better, not get worse.
Yeah, I like what you said. Be a little careful, though, because what's going to happen in the regular season or hurt, because it's like basketball now where the regular season doesn't mean much.
It bothered me a little bit to sit in the press box knowing that there were 3 or 4 guys at Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I grew up at the Rose Bowl. Yeah. That wasn't the cornfield in Iowa.
Yeah.
The Rose Bowl was heaven to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of things that have changed over the past several years. You kind of just roll your eyes, but you say, okay, well, that's where it's going. I better jump on board.
Yeah.
Or,
or get out.
The good old days aren't, they may be good, but they're not happening now.
Right. Exactly.
So we're having this discussion, and these are all good points, and these have been discussed, but I feel like we're not discussing the elephant in the room. Like, if we're going to talk to people, let's not waste our listeners' time. The SEC thinks what they think, and they have a TV deal with ESPN. And I'm a little loath to say that these TV companies are putting their thumb all the way on the scale and pressing it down. They, by just virtue of their voice, if the Big 12 calls and says, what team can we add that you'll pay us the most money for? They say West Virginia. I don't feel like they're demanding West Virginia, but they have the power because they're going to give the Big 12 money. Right? It's a little more subtle. It's a little more nuanced. Mm-hmm. Right now, I feel like the fist is on the scale. They're jumping up and down on the scale. ESPN wants all the games. We have Tim Brandon, who works for Fox. And if it goes to 24 teams, they'll need another network partner in to bid for the games and the way the contract is drawn up. And Tim Brando loses his mind and takes over the segment like, they've got to let Fox in. They got to go to 24. He's just pounding the table. It's clear this isn't some type of proxy battle. This is a full-on Fox wants in, and the Big Ten is in Fox's corner because they got to deal with him. And ESPN and ABC are in the SEC's corner, and we're really watching Fox and ESPN fight over TV programming in December.
Oh, yeah, in December. They're going to be doing that, maybe not throughout the year. It's interesting because, as I think I told you, my son was in acquisitions at ESPN for 12 years, and now he went to YouTube, and I'm just wondering what all these other places are going to do. Who owns who's going to continue to own whom.
YouTube's owned by Google, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah. He was with Disney, and they went to Google, and I said, okay, Disney, Google, well, I think you have a safe harbor there. They actually park your car for you. That's pretty nice. But, he said he'd put
Seriously?
me in
He has a valet at work?
Oh, yeah, they do at Google.
Oh, wow.
Then I said, well, at least you're going to put me in a better nursing home now. You can afford it. So he was good, I mean, he said it's not going to be the Ritz, but it'll be, an upscale, Marriott or something. But anyway, it's, I don't know. I'm a little not afraid, because it's not my job anymore. But going to 24 is a lot right away, like you were saying. Maybe you bounce into it. And then you're going to hit me with the bowl games, and I'm kind of done with them. I mean, there's just too many for me. And it's not the experience now it's going to be. And you don't have the Rose Bowl. I'm getting back to things happening. But 24 will make it happen, too. And they'll make the money. And live TV is it. That's the deal in terms of sports, because you can't tape it. You can't do any of that stuff. You can do with everything else on TV.
Right, yeah. And DJ's heard me tell this story before about the bowl games. The big dogs, they're going to be okay, right, either way. But several years back, I was covering the Arizona Bowl as Utah State against New Mexico State.
Right.
And so I'm in Tucson, and New Mexico State obviously isn't that far away from Tucson. And the amount of purple that was in that town the day of the game, because they don't go to bowl games all the time. It's a huge deal.
Right.
And then they win in overtime, and the kid kicks a field goal or miss a field goal or something. I don't remember. But I just saw the smiles on the faces of those young men and their families. And they don't get that. And we're supposed to be in for the business of the kids.
Yeah.
Young men, young women. I don't want to deny the Mexico States of the world the opportunity that meant the world to them.
Oh, yeah. I understand that one. It's the ones that are 25 through 45. They're the ones that I think are kind of going, oh, man, we're not in a big time. We're used to going to bowls. I mean, believe me, if New Mexico State went 4 years in a row, they wouldn't have the same interest at all.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's good for them, but that middle group's going to be tough where they are. If you're not in the top.
I get why Notre Dame didn't want to go bowling. They just said no. When they got left out, they just said no. I think bowls for Power Fours have jumped the shark. And so for the group of 5 teams, they have so little access to the playoff.
Yeah.
It still matters with G5 or G6 now. It still matters to them. However, I did see for the first time, and he was unnamed because this is a little, little coloring outside the lines, but I did see a G5 say that the bowl games are a break-even experience, largely. Sometimes they're a money-losing experience if you go cross-country. Well, I don't know who it is. If you get to stay home, if you're Hawaii playing the Hawaii Bowl, San Diego State playing the Poinsettia Bowl, or it's a short drive. But once you got to fly to Louisiana or wherever, now you're losing money.
How many ball games do you think we made money on?
So
0.
3. Vegas Bowls?
The BYU Vegas Bowl.
Right. Yes. Drivable.
The and because of the opponent.
Right.
Fiesta Bowl because it was
the Fiesta Bowl.
And the Sugar Bowl because it was Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Everything else we lost money.
Right.
But I remember being up there
That's fine.
at the Huntsman Center on a basketball night in a non-conference in December, and we used to have that little media thing when the front door there, and your office was down the hall to the left, and you got the call that you're in the bowl, and you came out, and I think you were going to go talk to Liz Abel down the hall, or whoever was down the hall, and I swear your feet were 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah, that was the Copper Bowl, probably.
Is that what it was?
Well,
it would have been your first year.
But you were so fired up about it.
I mean, for Utah, it was kind of, for me and for our program, that was like, okay, that's a first mini step for us building this program, trying to get there. We were 6-6. On Thanksgiving night, one of my mentors called me, Fred Miller, and I'm debating, how do we get in? He says, you got to buy your way in. I said, what do you mean? Buy an extra $250,000 tickets and tell your president it's what you had to do. So we do that. Next day, we try to raise some money. But that was the deal. We had to get in to start. and have our name on that Christmas week and across the bottom, and Utah's playing. And I think we got clobbered by that great running back from Wisconsin. But that's
Rondane.
Yeah, Rondane. That's sick. I can remember that stuff. But that's just the way it was. But I was fired up.
Right.
I was fired up because it was a big validation, for us.
And I thought it was awesome, and because you were beaming.
Oh yeah, I was. I maybe my vertical leap was 6 inches then, as opposed to 1 now.
But I thought it was super cool that Utah got to go to a bowl.
Oh, it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous, and it gave us a starting point. Now years after that, we were happy to go to a bowl, but it wasn't the same feeling because it wasn't maybe the one we wanted. The advantage we had is that we weren't as much a TV darling, and we sometimes played a little bit easier team than we would have if we were a little bit more of a TV person. TV attraction.
Right.
So it was good to win games.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you hear what I read was that the unnamed G5 official, it's the first time I ever heard, and someone identified as an athletic director, I don't know what school, say that he was in favor of a G5, G6 playoff now. He thinks it'll generate more money, and he doesn't think, even at 24 teams, he says there's one team in one league each year that's going to get access to that playoff money. We will make more money if we have a G5 playoff. And I've never really heard him be open to it because they don't want to be a sub-classification, but money's driving everything, and maybe now people are starting to warm to that.
Well, they may want to do that. I wouldn't want it to be run by the NCAA because then the money would be spread differently, and it would not match what they need.
They'd have to do their own thing.
The challenge is, do you really need the bowl people then? Or do you just say, hey, we got a big-time bowl. We contact Boise, say, what are you going to pay us, the group of 5, to play here? And maybe they get it. And then if you can get it on TV between Christmas and New Year's, as much as we all go, oh, my God, there's the toilet bowl and, Northeast Jabibi State's playing somebody else, people turn it on because they're sitting there. And
especially if the bowl games go away. People are still looking for programming.
Yeah, that time of year, people are going to look for that. And people don't really care if it's a bowl game or not. They're just watching a football game, and it's in Boise or something like that.
Yeah. I don't think they'd need bowl games at that point. I think they'd want to play on campus and sell the tickets, and then both teams don't travel. Only one has to, and they save money and have a better atmosphere.
I wish they would have done that with the Pac-12. We wanted that first year, and they played at Oregon, or maybe even the second year. But can you imagine University of Utah playing in the Pac-12 playoff at home? That'd be Olympic money in terms of the tickets. I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. We're playing Ohio State at Utah. I mean, it make the place crazy. Of course, going down to Rose Bowl is different, but maybe playing Ohio State rather in the Fiesta Bowl and playing home here in Houston would be the city'd be ridiculous.
Right.
You didn't like my city?
What's your city?
Tempe, Phoenix.
You're getting the
ASU
thing.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. If you really want, that bowl game was a pain in the butt.
The Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, it's hard to get around. There was no heartbeat. Like we were in New Orleans, all our fans were there, but we were out wherever we were in Scottsdale, the whole valley's the same city. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing but strip malls and stuff like that.
Cactus,
yeah. So, I don't like your city.
Pools.
I mean, I don't like your city. We can go on about that for a long time,
Chris, you got a book out. We'll talk about this coming up. What is it? Where can people find it? What's the title of the book?
Well, ironically, it's called 31 Years in the Front Row. Mm-hmm. And I actually I have a website, chrishillstories.com. It's up for the publisher part of it for the email and the book. And then Amazon, it takes a little work to have them be on. So the website, somebody did it for me. I thought it'd be easy just to plug on. So I bought my wife one yesterday to make sure it worked, and I bought myself an email. So at least 2 people have been involved. But,
all right.
It was just a fun process as much as anything, just memorializing everything.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk more about that coming up with Chris Hill in a moment. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1.
This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoux.
Morgan Scally, head coach at the University of Utah.
The hiring of Kevin McGivern, very, very innovative. When I've watched his teams, man, he loves to fling that thing around. Are you looking to open the offense a little bit?
I want to be explosive no matter where that comes from. If we're an explosive offense, but we're not physical, to me, that's the detriment to the entire team. You have to be physical, period, end of story, because a lack of physicality gets exposed at the highest levels. The priority, the premium is on physicality, and then explosive football, obviously explosive plays that can be from running the ball, from catching the ball. I think we have one of the best wide receiver groups we've had since I've been here. We want to get our playmakers the ball, but you have to play complementary football, and that's what Kevin's offense does.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're on YouTube and the KSL app as well. You can watch us. Dr. Chris Hill is here. You got a book out, and you were talking about really just putting down the experiences, the thoughts, the stories, all the interactions. What was your favorite one to recall in the book you've got out, which is available online right now?
Outside of the 10 Major stories? Or
how'd you come only with 10?
He has an editor. They cut him down.
I got 19 chapters, only 2 on Rick. And the
Plus
rest,
it's going to be a
and
second
it's
book.
interspersed throughout.
Of course.
I mean, my favorite thing was just going through it all. And, I had stories with my family, different stories about how we got into Pac-12. I didn't beat anybody up in the book, but Larry Scott and Greg Hughes from the legislature and one vice president university who I hope is listening, and he's scared that he knows it's him. But anyway.
That's your vindictive New Jersey side coming out right there.
But it was fun. It started out as just the library when I retired said, hey, let's do memoirs. And you've been there 31 years, and you're
the library, the university?
Yeah, university,
okay.
And they wanted me to do an oral history. And so they started talking about, being from New Jersey. I said, what do you mean? I said, you were the AD at 37, and you never lived in Utah. They said it's unique. And then COVID came, and then Liz and I started to write a couple stories, and then we got lost a little steam and just thought, well, we'll just have stories and just for my family, which is what I wanted to do. And then I lost some steam. Then I'm up in Park City. 3 of the guys on the basketball committee we invited up, Greg Byrne in Alabama now, Bubba Cunningham from North Carolina now, and Jamie Dixon. Not Jamie Dixon, he's the coach. Jamie Pollard and we started telling stories. They said, Chris, our ADs that we know wrote leadership books, which puts people to sleep, and yours may too. But I was telling stories about Jersey and Valvano and Dick Vitale, and we talked about. And they said, Chris, how can an Irish Catholic from New Jersey at 37 with no experience, not knowing where it was on the map when you were 22, be 80 at 37? You got some weird stories. And so that kind of motivated me to do it. I had Brad Rock and I had Liz help me, because I can't type. So I needed a lot of help, and I was a math major, not an English major, so I don't know the punctuation or, I did diagram sentences 100 years ago when they had it in elementary school. But, that's what kind of the genesis was, and it was kind of fun.
Was the challenge to boil it down? Because, you could go 5 books on Majerus.
Yeah, what I was hoping is that it gives a flavor of what it was like to sit in my chair. The title was, 31 years in the front row. So I kind of wanted to give a little flavor of things, and with Majerus, things grew a little better for me with him. We didn't people might think we got in yelling contests all the time. That was maybe 5 times a year, but waking up every day, knowing it could be a national story or it could be nothing. He could show up at the Crimson Club luncheon or come in 5 minutes late and stay for an hour. And you knew during the luncheon that he's going to say something. They're all going to go back to the office. I can't believe Majerus said this. And then you'd call me and say, did he really do that? Are you going to write on that kind of hand? Oh, my God. So that was he was a interesting collection of people, we used to say.
I like the one.
He's an interesting collection of people.
We're down in Tucson, and they win 2 games
Beasley, and he decides that the university didn't believe in him, so they didn't have a plane set up for him immediately when he wanted to go, the second he wanted to go, and then and you call me. That's not true. No one. I said, I know it's not true. He just makes up crap.
I know. I told him his book was something about life on a napkin, and I said, actually, mine's nonfiction. This is fiction, but he is funny. He goes, I don't even like me sometimes. I go, yeah, I got that. But no, just the.
I never heard him say that. That would have killed me.
Oh, no, he would say that to me.
That would have killed me if I'd heard him say that.
Oh, yeah. It's just, I don't even like me sometimes. And, the collection of people are wonderful. Dear departed Woody made that one up. Said, he's an interesting collection of people.
Well, Woody, Bruce Woodbury you're talking about, who was the longtime sports information for decades, he had, I was just telling my wife this the other day, he had a great definition of Majerus. He called them a one-member dysfunctional family.
Oh, that's great. I'll have to use that one. But no, it was funny. He is interspersed, and you can't deny it, when you think about 31 years. I mean, I was with him 14, and it was pretty significant part of my life, I
only had 10.
We had
that was plenty.
Yeah, we had, and I divided it into 2 eras because I thought there were 2 eras. There was the 90s, and then there was after that.
Sure.
And the pendulum swung, and, just funny, not funny things, but things you would. So his last agent was Falk, David Falk.
Yeah.
And it's towards the end, and we kind of had 1 year left on his contract in this day and age, and we weren't really interested in doing but the president of the university said, you got to meet with David Falk, bring your lawyer. And David Falk was Michael Jordan's agent.
Sure. Van Horn's.
Thought I was from nowhere, Utah.
Yeah.
Country bumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
Takes his plane in. He stays at the Monaco. Me and our lawyer and I are up there. He mentioned Michael Jordan maybe 372 times, and his.
So at least he didn't try to big time you.
No, he didn't try to. He thought, and we walked out of the room and said, we ain't doing it anymore, but be nice and call the next day and say we're kind of done. So that's an experience, that would be in your chair, just thinking about, okay, we got this meeting, we kind of know where we are. The leverage is different than it was 10 years ago, blah, 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 blah. But it was funny because he came in, his watch was more expensive than my car, and he let me know.
Yeah. When we come back, I want you to go forward the basketball, because obviously you had a ton of success with Majerus, and then you had some serious struggles, and now Alex has the Majerus DNA, but the rules are completely different.
Oh, boy.
So I'm curious what you foresee for Utah basketball specifically, even college basketball generally. We'll get to that next. Stay with us right here. Chris Hill in studio with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do-or-die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're live on YouTube and KSLSports.com and who knows where else. A million places. Chris Hill is in studio, the former Utah athletic director. You've got a book out. Give people the website again.
It's ChrisHillStories.com.
All right. There's a lot of Majerus stories in there. It's about 31 years. You had the seat in the front row, just experiences, things that happened.
Right.
There's crazy stories with Majerus. We could be here till noon and not even scratch the surface.
Right.
He also won big.
Oh, bigger than we think.
Great coach, man.
Yeah.
He had, I read, when the NCAA was going on now, talking about how many games Utah State and BYU, how many Sweet 16s. Rick won 17 games. Now, go around and take the whole state, add them up, take New Mexico, and add them up and see if there were 17.
Right.
My God, we just took it for granted.
So it was such a struggle after he left, and there were people who had really different theories coming in, right? Ray Giacoletti wanted to bring in foreign players. Boylan wanted to bring in Midwest players. No one wanted to use Majerus' recipe, which always stunned me because Ronnie Mack had a recipe. It was kind of Lavelle's, and then he put his own spin on it, and Gary Anderson took it to Utah State, and it worked. And Jay Hill took it to Weber State, and it worked. And there's more examples.
Yeah.
There's finally a coach at the U who's got the Majerus DNA, but times have changed, and money is such a big part of it now.
Wow.
I mean, it's at least 90, if not 95% of it. And with some kids, it's 100.
Yeah.
Probably not with the whole program. So what kind of success do you expect Alex to have? Is he going to have the money to be the best coach with the most success that he can have? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think what's so different is the money. I think Alex can identify talent, and he knows how to coach them up. There's no question. I mean, Rick didn't bring him to St. Louis because he didn't know what he's doing, and we used to call him St. Alex because Rick loved him so much. But he can get players, I think, if he has enough money, and he has enough money to keep them. But as we were talking, kids really kind of don't care what school they go to. They don't have loyalty. I love, East Jabibby State again, my favorite school. But if they do well, boom, they're bought.
Yeah.
Damon Lillard would have never been at Weber State more than a week, because somebody would have bought him. So do they have enough money? It may not be that simple, and he's got to get him to win. But I'm convinced he can coach him up if he has enough to essentially buy players. But I think he can coach them up, and he'll be great in the community, and he'll do better getting Utah kids, even if it's maybe a discount. He'll get those kids.
Whereas before in Majerus' era, there was no choice for Utah kids, which is often the LDS kid. Obviously, if they wanted to play on a winning team that could go far, well, there's only one choice.
Yeah.
And so he was able to clean up.
Right.
Even if kids didn't want to go, they had to go.
Yeah.
And now with them spending money down there, it's a big difference.
Well, I don't want to underplay the Utah recruiting because every coach says we recruit Utah first. That's what we do. Let's see, Hano, Finland, Horn, California,
but the ones
Andre,
he got
California,
were extremely
Joliet.
important.
Let me keep going. Doliak, Oregon. You look at it, he had great players. But then he got a Britton Johnson. He got an Alex Jensen. So he kind of did them both. Yeah. He was able to combat both. I mean, the foreign thing is bigger now because there's just better players there, and people have seen the success at Gonzaga and et cetera, et cetera. Larry's here. I think he was on the cusp of doing that. But Alex knows Europe. He knows everywhere. And I text him one day, and he says, I'll give you a holler, but I'm in the middle of all this stuff, players here, players there.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's really tough now to recruit and keep them. That's the thing. I mean, I go back to Andre Miller, and we wouldn't have kept him. Kentucky would have had him. They would have come in and said, hey, Andre, you want to come here? And good old Andre, God bless him, he would have been gone, I think.
His mother would have made him.
Yeah.
I think so. His mom, he'd do whatever his mom said.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, to your point, the amount of money they would have thrown at him would have been staggering.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been staggering. You would have been really disappointed, but you couldn't have been mad at him.
No, it's
knowing
like,
how the system works.
It's exactly like when we were one of the great things that happened that we still don't know now is Andre came in to see us after the Final Four. Mm-hmm. We had Russ Granick on a speakerphone. And
who was an NBA
he was
lead
the
office executive.
Lead office guy.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I left out a paragraph. I sometimes do that. But so you got me, Donnie, Manny Hendricks, and Andre listening. And the guy says, Granick said, well, you'll be probably about, 11 to 24, And we get done, and Andre Lee is, we're all going, great for Andre. Great for Andre. Then he decides to stay, and he still had his degree already. And I'm thinking, Why? We still to this day don't know. We have our theories, I'd say. But, he was real loyal to us, but that would have changed real early after his freshman year and beyond that, because he didn't have the loyalty there, because he wasn't, But loyalty's overrated now. It just doesn't happen.
As we see on a regular basis.
Yes, we know that. I mean, we're all loyal to our job, I think.
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree, but it changes,
right.
I mean.
We saw back when Lavelle retired, Val Hale hitched his wagon to Gary Croton, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then they both lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And it was a messy situation. Utah was a messy
situation. Yeah, go ahead.
The messy situation. I mean, the family was upset about Whittingham's
about
family.
Whittingham.
Okay, okay.
And
you left a paragraph out too. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, the family, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And so.
And they've made no secret of it.
Yeah,
you can hear that
obviously
from
I
other
know
people
them,
in
and
town.
they tell me stuff. Blah,
Right.
blah, blah.
Well, they didn't sign. What's it called? A non-disclosure. They didn't.
Right.
NDA.
His family didn't sign an NDA.
Oh no. I mean,
I think from what I've heard,
they did not during the Vegas Bowl.
Yeah.
Actually, the game is being played, and I'm getting it in the press room.
Oh, really?
On the phone. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well,
because some of them are there.
Yeah, you knew the family.
Right.
Yeah.
And so be it, right? So where I'm going with this is now the administration has hitched his wagon with Morgan, and hopefully it doesn't end up like Croton, which ended up being a disaster. This coach and waiting stuff, I just don't know that it works all that well, because they wait, and it can be a messy departure, or the guy who gets the job then isn't as good as the predecessor and all that. Just what do you make of all this, and how much it has to succeed for everybody to basically stay employed?
Well, every situation is different, and to stay employed, it's pretty simple. If that's what you're getting, they got to win. That's the bottom line. Morgan's got to win. He knows he's got to win. That's the way the world is now. I mean, you get down to the bottom line, and you got to win. And Morgan he's a defensive coordinator, a pretty good national team. The problem is, if you're asking about coach and waiting, and the last guy, I've drawn that line. I'm not going to say anything that seems critical of the university. I don't want to be that guy. I mean, I left, and I never go back to the building. Not because I'm anything other than I don't want to be in the way. But I don't know what you do if Kyle lost like crazy last year. Then you're going to elevate, him. But Morgan was the guy. I just don't know if it needed to be that public. But
right, and then and obviously the coach has to win. But sometimes the administrator won't lose his job. But here it seems like these guys now, they're joined at the hip. It has to work.
Jim Valvano told me, once the AD hires you, that's the most power you ever had, but you better get the power and do it before you lose a ball game. So I think they're when I let Ronnie go and hired Urban, those are two completely different situations. But I was married to Urban, because if Urban didn't win, that meant I made a mistake with Ronnie. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
But he won so much, he got me off the hook.
Right.
So if you're saying that people are connected, I would say yes, always. It may be more this time than it would have been another time, And so every AD needs to have their football coach win when they hire a new guy.
Right. But you had some credibility with the basketball, because you'd hired one that went to the Final Four, and then the next two you hired, it didn't work.
Yeah. So I had some credibility with that, and that helped me, I guess, along. I don't know what to say. I always felt like, hey, this new guy got to win. I didn't hire him thinking, well, if he loses, I'll still keep my job.
Right. Oh, I understood.
That's not even part of my thinking anyway. I never, I went for an interview one time at Miami, and they said, what are your goals? And I was just a kid, and I said, have a heck of a Monday, a heck of a Tuesday, a heck of a Wednesday, and it all add up. That's all I care about. Because I think if you start looking about, hey, I'm going to get fired, if this happens, that happens, then you can't do your job.
Yeah.
So they're all connected, some maybe more than others because of the nature, and that may be the case here or not. I'm not around.
Right.
So
it does seem for the industry, and so I suspect for Utah also, that whereas in your day, either football or basketball had to be going right, You couldn't afford to have them both down at the same time.
Absolutely.
Very few schools had them both up, so you could always kind of explain one away.
Yeah.
Be good at one and have a good plan and be making progress at the other.
Yeah.
And if you're at Alabama, it's probably better to be football, and if you're Duke, it better be basketball, right? So it just depends on the school. But now, football is so important. I think to PK's point, they are joint at the hip.
Yeah.
Probably because he's been there a long time.
Sure.
As AD, and they really need to have success, and we all feel like realignment's coming, and you've got to have success in football for that. Plus, he just paid a legend to go away, so now back to what you said about Mac and Urban, if you make the longtime guy go away, the next guy better have success. But the same question, the landscape is constantly changing underneath everybody's feet. In the pros, you can explain it away if you're on the bubble, right? Hey, we got the 8th best record, but we got the 24th best payroll in a 30-team league, right?
Right.
So the coach is overachieving versus the budget. There are other issues. In colleges, those numbers aren't as public. I don't know if you get to explain it away the same way, although it's a similar problem in the pros. If a baseball team has the 24th biggest payroll, just get to the playoffs. We don't expect you to win the World Series. Sneak into a wild card. Get over 500.
I think that's the card that wins the game is the money is going to give coaches a little bit of a realistic reason why they don't have the same players that other teams have.
If they have less money, and everyone knows it.
And even Utah, they may have the most money, but nobody's going to believe them because guys down the street are always going to have more money. That's what our fans are going to be thinking,
right?
No matter what.
BYU and Texas Tech, if those are your losses, you can explain those away because the perception, whether maybe it's reality, maybe it's not, but the perception is they have more cash.
Yeah, you can't explain away losing to BYU.
Right.
Even if they have a lot more money and whatever, because
it's the rivalry.
Thanks to Ronnie and all those people, at one point we were 2-20, and then all of a sudden we became very competitive in some ways, maybe even better, and that'll help your ratings.
Well, you did,
when I said that.
Well, no. You win 9 in a row, you dominated.
Yeah.
So it speaks for itself.
Back to your question, and boy, if this is read as me sitting in the chair now, it's like. They're always connected. My coaches hate this when I summarize something, but they're always connected. That's the way it is, and you got to win. We always laugh about it, and I learned this the hard way that it really doesn't matter if you keep your budget as long as you win in football. No AD gets fired for winning in football and being over budget. They may use that excuse, but if you lose in football and you're under budget, nobody cares. You lose your job.
Yeah.
So that's a scary thing for an AD now. It's almost, maybe that's what you're saying is, in every campus in the country, how your football coach does after you hired the person, that's all that matters. Everywhere in the country.
Do you see the Utah football program continuing to grow to where when and if there's expansion that they move on into the Big Ten?
They're a model school for it. Just like they were with the Pac-12. And I think they'll be in the top part of the league all the time, and that'll help them be attractive if somebody's going to expand. I would not want to get into the, definitely or not, but, they'll drop my alma mater Rutgers and there'll be room. What the heck? No, but, I think Utah does bring a market that they don't have, a time zone, too. That's
the time zone, yeah, for sure.
Time zone's really important, and you have to know who you are. So you're playing Michigan against Utah. Michigan's going to be the one that brings the eyeballs, but at least the state of Utah is going to be packed watching it.
Of course.
So, I think Utah continues to be in the top 3 or 4 of the league. I see that realistically, and then they'll be an attractive place because if they want to. The Big Ten wants to destroy the Big 12, which, I can't imagine them wanting to do that, or the ACC. They'll just take the best teams, and I can see us being the best team with a great institution.
You told me a long time ago we were in your office talking, and you're probably 15 to 20 years into your job at this point.
Yeah.
You hadn't gone to the Pac-12 yet.
Okay.
And the Mountain West was getting better. Mm-hmm. Utah and BYU and TCU, you could just see the momentum, right? It was just obvious.
Yes.
And you're like, we just got to keep getting good. They are going to devour their own. I remember you saying that, and you said it so definitively.
Yeah.
And sure enough, The Power 6 becomes the Power 5, becomes the Power 4. The Big East and the Pac-12 are gone. And now we have two leagues pulling away. They didn't kill the Big 12, but, man, taking Texas and Oklahoma out of it, the SEC, that was something. And it feels like it's coming for the ACC as soon as the contracts allow it. It's going to happen there. We got a Big 2, and there seems to be this assumption we're going to stop at a Big 2. And I personally don't understand it because I go back to what you said. It's this innate thing built into sports. It's incredibly predictable. You called it decades ago. Why won't one of these two big leagues try to damage the other one? Especially because, as we talked earlier, you got two networks that wouldn't mind getting the upper hand on the other one who are funding all of this. Why not? Why doesn't the Big Ten raid the SEC for Florida and Georgia, or Texas and LSU, Tennessee and, I don't know, somebody else, maybe Bama?
Your question is a good one, and why wouldn't they?
Because they will, and the way to get around the NCAA is we'll have our conference guidelines, we'll have our own conference tournament, we'll control all the money, we'll make our own conference rules. The NCAA can exist, and we can still have our water polo and volleyball and soccer playoffs and baseball and softball and whatever. But now it's all in-house in the Big Ten. And at that point, is the Big Ten 32 teams, and it just becomes the NFL of college football.
Yeah, I think that they eat their young is the other thing. I kind of said it.
Yeah.
And, when we were in the Mountain West, we always felt like, hey, if Utah can be at the top part there and we become a pain in the butt, the Mountain West, they'll just take some people and we could be the guys dressed up and ready to go. So that was the theory then, and it's probably the theory now. I'm wondering if they just start to streamline it and let people go. Yeah. I just wish we'd take football and make it its own operation. And everybody else come home is what I used to say. Yeah. Let the baseball team stay in the West Coast, do that. But football's its own entity. It's its own entity on campus. It's its own entity. It's just not the same sport as anybody else. Make their own rules, have their own thing, have it be separate, And then they may eat their young then. I can see what you said. Why wouldn't Ohio State, A, want to take Tennessee, and B, maybe have somebody leave? And just keep making their place better and better and better. I don't think it's unreasonable, that's for sure. I think it's accurate.
The leave part, though?
Excuse me?
The leave part, you think that's reasonable?
Well, I think
basically getting kicked out.
You're talking about football leaving the athletic department?
You're talking about teams, right?
Yeah,
teams. That's what I'm talking about. But, because Ohio State's going to look at another school in the Big Ten and say, wait a minute, they're getting the same money as us?
That makes sense.
So what they're going to do is either eliminate people or easier say, hey, we want a bigger piece of the pie. And that makes a division in that league more and more and more. And in a certain way, it's not bad to have two divisions if you're in the top one, because then you got 3 or 4 teams you can beat, still have 10 wins. But if all of a sudden, who thought maybe Oklahoma's not going to be one of the major schools in the country, or Nebraska? Who would have thought that?
Yeah, Nebraska's fall is incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible. I never would have thought Utah plays Nebraska and we're expected to win.
Which is what it was in Vegas last year.
It used to be 60-12 is when I started.
Right.
And we'd go home with money. We'd go home with money and lose.
You'd write a check and apologize to Frank Dolce. Frank, you're going to get beat up today.
And I know that's part of the plan was one of the first things we did is got rid of those money games.
Right,
Get rid of the money games, play an easier team, get some wins, have people healthier because we weren't as deep as BYU, and at the end of the year have better chance because we have better players. We didn't have our third team players.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys, that were on the third team. I apologize. I hope you're not listening.
They were great when they became first teamers. It was just as freshmen. They couldn't.
Right. Yeah, that could be it, though.
Yeah, it was partly.
Yeah, they're not ready.
They develop players well.
Let's take a break and do one more segment. Jake's giving me the evil eye in there. He's looking at the clock. We're just blowing through stop signs. DJ and PK with Chris Hill in studio. Stay with us.
Turn it up. Let's go. It's a new era for sports radio in Utah. This is the all-new KSL Sports Zone. As always, DJ and PK kick off your mornings from 6 to 10. Then introducing the newest addition to the KSL Sports Zone. The coach, Tim Lacombe, joins Scotty G every day from 10 to 2. And as you wrap up your day, Jake Scott and Ben Anderson are there with the best sports talk in Utah from 2 to 6. Live and local, all day, every day. Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is live, on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
DJ and PK brought to you in part by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Chris Hill in studio. You got a book. The website?
ChrisHillStories.com. Easy to remember, I hope.
31 years of memories, 31 years in the front row.
Right.
Crazy stories. That was a good one about David Falk earlier. As you said, David Falk's ego on full display. Did you tell the story about the Sugar Bowl in Alabama? You told me a story about you were in the lobby. The Sugar Bowl people take you to dinner. They take Alabama to dinner one night and then Utah the next night.
Yeah, I can.
And it's like the last little shred of collegiality left in big time pro college sports, and they're waiting for you in the lobby, and like, when do your people get here? I'm like, this is everybody, and they're like, what?
Yeah, they had the night before they had Alabama administrative staff, and we used to tease in our place that we carried our own bags, and I didn't have an assistant to an assistant, and I got to tell you, Glenn Tuckett's story. It's not in the book. If I can remember, you tell me. But we're there, and they're going, "Where's your squad?" And we're like, where's your staff? We go, well, this is it. So I think they lost a lot of money on putting that into it. And but Glenn Tuckett told me Alabama, he was there for 2 years as kind of an interim guy. I think So we were playing in the gymnastics championship at Alabama, and he showed me through everything and go by some really big office, and it's neat, nobody's there. And I said, "Who works there?" And he goes, "Oh, so-and-so." And I go, "What's he do?" He goes, "I don't know. He's just a friend of Coach Stallings. They just hired him." And I said, "This guy's not making $45,000. But I'll never forget walking down that hallway and look. And I can't sing and dance, but I can remember stories. But I go there and I'm going, just a friend of Stallings.
Yeah.
Paying him a big salary with his own nice office. So Alabama's staff, it was hysterical. They kept waiting for people to come.
We're here.
But yet that's where we are now with these staffs. That's what's been impressive to see BYU and Utah come of age in a sense, because their staffs, football-wise, it used to be Alabama who had these, what did they call them? Analysts. And now a guy like Gary Anderson is behind the scenes, but yet doing a lot to help the team win, and isn't interested in getting any publicity because been there, done that. And Utah expanding their staff and have those types. And essentially that's what you have to do to stay competitive. That's the form of the arms race that seems to have taken over versus back when it was all about the facilities.
Yeah, I know. You go down and look from the press box down, you see more guys with golf shirts that look alike than you can ever imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of it's useful, some of it's not. But you're sitting in a position, if I call it the bag of crap theories. They got a bag of crap, so we got a bag of crap. I'll use that word. So why don't we get 2 bags of crap and then we can beat them? But you're kind of stuck down. When we were in the Mountain West, we could kind of say, we can't have that many guys. And nobody in the community would say, "Oh, Chris, you got to, Yeah. But once we got there, and I remember we're in the Mountain West, they said, "Well, Alabama does this." And I said, "We're not Alabama. I mean, if I expected you to beat Alabama, then we can have that guy." Well, damn it, Kyle went ahead and beat Alabama. And then we needed that guy.
He did.
Hilarious.
I was there.
I think he's going to go 10-2, maybe better. I don't know about beating Indiana and Oregon. We'll see. I think they can beat Ohio State, and I think they can beat Oklahoma. When I say Kyle's going to go 10-2 his first year at Michigan, what's your first reaction?
I agree. I think that's who they are. I mean, I can't imagine him. We had talent at Utah, but I can't imagine him not having more talent at Michigan. And he can, like I used the expression, Rick, he can coach them up, and they're not going to lose players because they can keep paying them. So I look down the schedule too, as you just mentioned, and I don't know who's on their schedule, but there's no reason why they can't. Now, I don't want to put pressure on Kyle, God bless him, but the reality is...
I didn't say 11-1 or 12-0. I'll leave the door open to it.
Yeah,
I'm not predicting
10-2. 10-2 is in your first year at Ohio State. I wouldn't think that's a problem.
Well, that gets you in the playoff.
Boy, that's easy to say now. That's not a problem. What the heck,
he's probably not putting pressure on me. You just said I was going to beat Ohio State. You fool.
You got to go 10-2, coach. Don't
it was a
me.
ballyhooed hire. It was an unbelievable circumstance, turn of events, and to get a coach of that level of accomplishment, it just doesn't happen every day.
No, I don't think so. And I think, Kyle had this, I'm only from Utah, I'm this, I'm that. Mm-hmm. And getting back to the same thing. He's going to get players, whether he's from the Midwest or California, whatever. And then I think they'll win. And it's Michigan. Let's be honest, it's Michigan.
Well, you told me once about him that the thing people don't appreciate, because he's got the football tough guy persona, is you said he's smart.
Oh.
And he's always looking for just that little bit of an edge, and then find another little bit of an edge. You start adding them up, and that's why they beat Alabama and a handful of other big-time
you're bringing
wins.
back really memories for me because, each coach was different. And part of my deal was, are they going to adapt to me or am I going to adapt to them? Mm-hmm. Not in terms of giving away things, but, so Kyle comes in the office, I got to be prepared. I got to know all the research. I got to know if I say one thing, if I say it's going to happen, 3 months from now, he'll be knocking on the door saying, did it happen? Yeah. And I'd go into a meeting and, man, I better be prepared. Where some people is a little more give and take and, back and forth and whatever. But with Kyle, it was like, boom. And so I think he's a really, really smart guy. And that's where he can figure out stuff. We went to Pac-12. He was one of the few coaches that weren't nervous. He said, bring it on. And I'm sure he's going to feel the same way at Michigan. Just bring it on, and I'll be ready.
Yeah, I can tell you once they clinched the first Rose Bowl, I don't want to use the word demands, but he had a level of expectations now, I guess, that were something that you could say he demanded of the program. We were done with this little program out in the middle of nowhere that overachieved. And he was going to hold people accountable to maintain. His point in conversation was, now we've stepped up and we're not going back. Well, we got to go more.
Well, that's exactly when we got invited to Pac-12. I said, guys, I understand it's a jump, but we are not afraid of high expectations. We can't be afraid of that. We got to keep that there. And, Kyle bought in, and every coach – Kyle, maybe you know him better, so it's more intense there, but every coach wants more and more and more, not only in support, but also in winning. And we decided it's not arrogant, but we weren't going to be afraid of high expectations. I mean, it's not all about me, but, X number of years ago, nobody thought we'd be beating BYU, but people thought I was crazy thinking we could do that. It was like when we even got started, we said, okay, we need to win at least 1 in 5 years. Against BYU. That was like a goal.
Which is only 20% out of 10.
And then we said, well, no, forget that one. That's off the table.
Right. And I think that for the U of U, I see no reason why not. No. Because I think it has so much to offer.
I've always felt that way. From day one, I looked and I said, great university, great city, attractive for coaches. They know they can win there. There's a lot of things that added up. And to keep people, that's the key thing, is to keep a Kyle for more than 5 years. And Rick, too.
But I want to ask you what we asked Ryan Smith when we had him on the air. The Jazz are here, and we know they're pulling a lot of money out in this, sports business world. Now the Mammoth are here. And, man, talk about catching a wave and riding a wave, right?
Oh,
you see all the gear around town, too. The arena's full.
Yeah.
And now we got Major League Baseball. Is it coming? It sure sounds like it is. I mean, it's not done until it's done.
Right.
But it sounds probable.
Yeah.
And now you're going to put the University of Utah on top of that, and everybody's got to get the money out of the local community. Is there that much money in the local community?
Well, I don't think so. I don't see us, the city growing like crazy, or the state. I mean, everybody, it's growing, but, boy, that's a lot of money. And we don't have a lot of corporate national companies here.
No, the tech money has helped fill that gap.
Yeah.
But to what degree? I mean, it's filled it as the Mammoth have come into town, but maybe the Utes don't have the money they wish they did right now.
Right.
And baseball, that's just one more straw into the exact same drink.
Yeah, and I think that, Utah did a good job, like with their baseball, getting advertising there and using it more strategically. And, you're only as ethical as you can afford to be, was the expression. And maybe all of a sudden you're going to have like hockey uniforms, soccer uniforms with all kinds of names on you,
right?
And name buildings after companies and do all that stuff.
Will it be soccer with one brand, or will it be NASCAR with 30 brands?
Right, yeah. Right. And I but get back to your basic point. I'm concerned that there's not enough money to go around, and the impact, like the Mammoth, man, I went to one of those games and it's happening, and they're going to bring money out of the community in a big way. I mean, they're the major leagues. They're not, like they were out at the Maverick Center.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to answer your question, yes, there's a lot of people at the trough trying to get money, and I don't know if there's enough money.
Are there a lot of Ute alumni around the country that could be tapped into? Because that's where it's different than pro sports. Pro sports gets their network TV money, and they get their network or whatever their whole league, does as far as sponsorships. But then they're basically local. And we are seeing schools, your billionaire company, Indiana had Mark Cuban go off to Texas, and now he's writing checks back in Indiana. So it's not like you're limited to 40 miles from campus.
No, you're not. But I mentioned our university many times, but if you're living in L.A. and you want to help the Utes, but at the same time the development office is talking about you donate money to cure cancer at the Huntsman Center, getting a quarterback versus working on cancer. So people that don't go to the games, like people throughout the state or throughout the country, they love the Utes or whatever, but they're not going to give their biggest dollar to the athletic department. And I couldn't agree with that. When Huntsman would give us money and 20 times as much to the cancer, I said, thank you for letting us be part of your charitable giving.
Right.
And universities, just like anybody else, donors, there's so many areas, engineering where people graduated, where they're here, where they're there.
Yeah.
So I think the University of Utah, to answer your question, they'll get money from around the state, but around the country, but they'll get more money to the rest of the university, which they should.
Yeah, we need to throw cancer in there.
Yeah. Okay, we need a quarterback or cancer, research. I mean,
I think we're at the point now where you would be hard-pressed to find somebody who didn't know multiple people who went to the Huntsman Cancer Institute and who probably have been there either as a patient or driving the patient there.
Oh,
we've both done that, and we're not alone. Having been there recently, that place is so busy. Watching the cars come and go, the valet parking, the valets running back and forth as people just keep showing up.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite guys to work with was Larry Kostoyak, and we went up to the Huntsman's Cancer when they had another expansion, and we looked at each other and said, one guy, it's like Eccles. What would we be without the Eccles family at the University of Utah? But we go up there and say, wow, this guy decided to do this.
Yeah.
God, are we proud that he likes us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that about the money. It just was kind of fun to be able to say, hey, these major contributors have a little like with Utah. It's kind of their little – it's like people give money to the Cancer Center, then they give to the symphony.
A little fun money.
Yeah, a little bit of their
They do
stuff.
The real work up on the hill. Yeah,
they have passion in everywhere, but it gives them, John loved basketball. Loved it.
Oh, yeah, big time. Absolutely.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
I was there.
Yeah.
He introduced himself to me one time. I said, yeah, I know who you are.
That was a really fun part of the job, is getting to know so many. I told people that my job was really strange, because there's only like 50 good ones in the country that are that way. But, I dealt with Huntsman's of the World Medical Center, people downtown, staff, on-campus professors. I mean, it was so nice to have all those groups, and sometimes it was a pain too. But getting to know people like that, and
not to mention the media,
and the media too. You're right. And
you wouldn't know us if you did it now.
The media was one of the disappointments for me. As you know, I'm so comfortable with you guys now that I can say what I want. Yeah. But I said, here's the deal. I'm from New Jersey. I'm competitive. Arguing is a family sport. Okay, you argue all night long. You get up in the morning and say, "Oh, that was fun last night." So with the media, even if not that in 31 years you were ever wrong, ever. I say, man, that's wrong. I want to fight that guy about it. I want to do it. I'm competitive and I want to argue. No, the AD has just got thin skin. Yeah. He doesn't understand it. I can't believe how. You guys had a card you could play that I couldn't be myself.
So did you figure that out on your own, or did Liz Abel, your longtime sports information director, who had ultimate, assistant athletic director titles and all that, but did she explain it to you and tell you this is how it is?
Yeah, she would stop me from being myself.
Yeah,
she was the best, and so you're right. I mean, she'd sit there and say, I almost wanted to rip some guy's lips off that was in the media one time. Big time. But what happened is,
I bet I can guess who.
Yeah, but for me, it got to the point like, hey, that's how it is. It didn't bother me. Yeah. You guys knew I had to be vanilla when I spoke, and you guys know you had to ask the question, who are you looking at, Chris? Well, I'm not going to tell you that. And my wife used to say, how'd it go on the radio? I'd say, oh, great. You did it again. You sounded like you were doing something, but you never said anything. That's good.
Yeah, but I think one of your strong points is that you could handle conflict. I mean, we had conflict. You and I had conflict.
Oh, yeah.
But yet I never felt like it was personal against me.
No,
the next time around, you could see me, we could talk, and here we are 30 years later, and we have a relationship, and there were some hard times, but it's just part of the job. And if I felt if I'm not creating conflict, I'm probably not asking the right questions.
Right, absolutely.
And it's part of the gig. But here we are 30 years later, and if people ask me about Chris Hill, I say, yeah, I like the guy. I liked him then. I like him now.
Well, that's how I feel about It's a two-way street. I know you got a job to do. I got a job to do.
And you knew that.
You have to. Liz would get together and say, Chris, they're going to ask this question and this question.
Yep.
Don't be upset. And I did that once with Urban. I said, Urban, it's the second game of the year. Notre Dame wants you, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I said, Urban, let me explain something to you. It's kids and dogs. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you just do this. I love my team. This is how it is. I can't think of anything else but Morgan Scally and this guy and that guy. Right. And we'd have those kind of discussions. Not that we'd always get away with it, but it's just I knew what you had to do. You knew what I had. And that's just the way it is. It's like I said, I got up in the morning and we'd argue all night long, get up the next day, say, that was fun. And so you don't think about that. I never felt that way. Hardly ever.
All right, one final segment. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. DJ and PK, Chris Hill in studio. We were only going to do an hour. We've done an hour and a half because there's just too many stories. For people who want the book, give them the website one more time. Some people just join us.
Yeah, got a book coming out that's been several years in the making. It'll be up on Amazon a little bit and other places, but it's chrishillstories.com, 31 years in the front row. I didn't beat anybody up. It's not some juicy stories like that. It's just, I think it's fun or inside kind of, not gossip, but how did that happen, or what happened here, or what was funny? And I threw a chapter in about me growing up because Jersey changed my life, and then I told the story about me being in Utah at 23. Paint and bar tile was my first job because I left Duke without a job, and I had 7 jobs in 13 years and 1 in 31. So I thought I had to explain that part of my Utah life before I became the AD. But again, if anybody sees it as an ego thing, I'm really going to be disappointed. My old man would come out of his grave and beat me. Okay, so it's about stories like that. Pac-12, Majerus, 2 chapters, Urban, Kyle, along the way, and one thing, I'll be real quick, one thing, we had this thing called Along the Way, which is just little vignettes of short stories with student athletes and with presidents that I had and, things I screwed up here and there and, and cost the university money when Urban thought I was leaving and we had a buyout. And he said, you got to use my buyout. I said, okay. Then I stayed and he left. And the buyout was nothing. The guy from Florida, he called me up and said, Chris, that's the cheapest thing we got. Could you want me? I'll write a personal check if that's how it is. Anyway, so that's part of it. And I appreciate you letting me talk about it. It's out now, but I really consider it out, in a couple weeks when Amazon, everybody gets it. And then we're going to do a little book thing at the King's English and stuff. But I don't want this to be a sales pitch because I'm no way I'm going to make money. No way, and I'm not interested in that. I mean it.
But hardcore Ute fans who wonder about conference realignment stories and interesting personalities, coaches they heard about forever.
Yeah.
And
I hope the people that are interested, it's fun.
Yeah.
And nobody gets a gold star for buying one. I'm not giving strokes on a golf course. If one of my buddies buys a book, they can the heck with it.
Chris, we appreciate you coming in. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're all done. Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, are coming up next. Stay with us.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.